What's up, Bulldog Nation? Episode 82, Season 2, Episode 41.
I'm Micah Harris.
I'm Matt Tanner. Thanks for checking in with us again this week. We have a really interesting guest coming on.
Yeah.
And we'll get to him in just a little bit, but we're gonna pay some bills and do our part, and then we'll get right out of the way and we'll get rolling with that. I want to give a couple shout outs to our partners, Mercy Phoenix and Green Grass Guys. Mercy Phoenix, your source for healthcare staffing solutions. Anything from RNs and EMTs and EMSs to CNAs and probably anywhere in between.
If it's got a letter before it, they probably take it.
Exactly. If it's in the healthcare, he can, Jody Cheney and the group over there can get you fixed up. You can reach them on their website, mercyphoenix.com, or Mercy Phoenix on their Facebook page. And Mercy is spelled M-E-R-C-I, Phoenix like the city. And special shout out again to Green Grass Guys, your local turf management. As we call them, they're wizards or magicians.
It's going to be the time of year for them to shine right now.
They are. And speaking of that, we have the
Jamboree Friday
night. We're recording this on Wednesday. This will come out Saturday. But we won't have necessarily any breakdown. Maybe we'll try to get to that next week.
Yeah, we'll probably do that next week. And then first game's next week.
The first game is next Friday. That's right, at Park Hills. So, again, shout out to David Bizzle, and they've got our athletic fields for fall sports looking right. And moving into our shout out to Luke for the graphics that you see on the TV behind us. Shout out to Aaron for the hostess. Shout out to Justin, our general counsel and general nuisance. Yep. Tucker Cheney, his help with video editing. Derek James, Brian James for their lore, sports history. And Brian listened to Joe Bill and Joe Baldwin, and he said the year that Charleston beat Vashon, Charleston didn't win state that year. They lost to Borgia on like a buzzer beater.
You're right.
Or something.
That is correct. I do.
I think Joe Bill said they went on to win state, but I don't think they did. They didn't that year. They lost it.
I think they did. I think they lost to Borgia in a buzzer beater at Jefferson County or Jefferson.
Correct. And I've got a clip of it. And if I can remember to do it when I'm editing, Brian sent me the clip. I will post that clip over us talking. If I can, if I can remember to do that, I've got it. It's about a 1-minute video. I'll try to stick that in there.
Because I think we beat Borgia in '92.
I think his comment. Let me see if I can pull Brian's.
I say we, Charleston.
Yeah, no. I get it. Borgia won state in '93 and '94. He said got boat raced in the semis against Mexico, which we started talking about Mexico. Cookie Belcher and that crew.
So that was the year that Borgia got beat by them. Probably was the year that Tyronn Lue was there.
Yeah,
Tyronn Lue left. I think he ended up going to like Pembroke Hills or somewhere like that and played.
Oh,
and then Cookie Belcher stayed, and Cookie Belcher I can't remember if Charleston won state in '96, but they ended up beating Mexico in '96 or '97. I can't remember what year that was.
He said Charleston lost to Borgia in '93, '94, and '95 in the quarters. Sounds like Sikeston running into Borgia a couple of those years.
There was a juggernaut.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
they have some big time history.
Yeah.
And so we knew what we were running. Lost to them in '06, lost to them in 09 and 10 in quarters. So yeah, I get it.
Kind of change the subject a little bit here, but talking about we always talk about public versus private. So I think from what I understand, Alabama, my sister lives down there, and this year they've separated them.
Oh,
and dropped because they had 7 classes and they dropped down to 6, which made Class 5 really hard.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no private, but I mean, like it's
a lot of big schools
in
Huntsville, Birmingham, those big schools
like Mountain Brook. All of them are like in Class 5.
Oh, geez.
In Class 6 is like Thompson, Hoover, stuff like that. So, like, I'm just saying, if you want to talk about the pros and cons of it, I mean,
that's what
it could make things worse.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
that's right. Yeah. Let's talk about that sometime. We won't do it today, but maybe we can schedule something and talk about that. Yeah. That'd be a good one. Anyway, and last but not least, Mr. Tyler Anderson, Twisted Arrow Woodworking, our cool sign on the wall. And don't forget to like, share, follow the Doghouse on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And catch our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and a whole host of others, as well as the embedded player on our website at thedoghouse.buzzsprout.com. And you can get in touch with us via email at doghouse.sikeston@gmail.com. Quick thing, where was I going with that? Oh, I got to looking at some stats and things on YouTube. We're at like 80 or not subscribers, followers.
We didn't have quite 100 on YouTube, I think.
Yeah. Subscribers, please, if you're listening to this, please subscribe to our YouTube page if you can. But I got to looking, we've had 18,000 views in the last 30 days.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Go along with our plus over 50,000 on Facebook. That's Facebook and Instagram. TikTok is usually in the close to 10,000. So starting to build. Mm-hmm. So are continuing to build, I should say. We're doing it to get information. That means we're doing what we're correct.
Getting information out there.
Correct.
Like people are following the content, and so we appreciate that.
Absolutely. We couldn't do it without you liking, sharing, following, commenting, reviewing, subscribing, all of the actions. As we said, that's a call to action, asking someone to do that. And so from the bottom of our heart, we appreciate that. We could not do what we do without you providing us those stats. And it's trackable. The neat thing is it's trackable because it's all digital, so to speak. Yeah. And it gives you those stats. So
I'm excited too. I mean, that's awesome. But I mean, like A Corp is like, man, they're making some waves, ain't they? They're going to do Jackson football.
Yeah, they announced that.
Three Rivers
basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, and they've kind of put out some schedules of what they're going to be doing. I mean, they put out Sikeston and Jackson for sure. And so I think that's pretty cool.
They'll be putting out their regional coverage.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I bet they'll be putting it out pretty quick. Yeah. Well, I mean, the season starts next week.
I mean, we're blessed. I guess.
Oh, no question.
We'll know our district Friday probably. I think Friday will probably be class assignments for
football.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're ready to get rolling in football. It is now fall. It's not fall on the calendar, but it's fall when football starts, in my opinion.
Well, this will be our last episode before school starts.
That's correct. Yeah, next Tuesday. School starts next Tuesday. Mm-hmm. That is correct. Thank you for mentioning that. Good luck to all the fall athletes, and go Dogs, as we always say.
Supporters, athletes, fans, all of them.
We call them athletic supporters. I'm kidding. Real quick before we move on to our guest, if you're interested in partnering with us, give us a shout. And again, we've got some swag available. Let us know, hit us up, and we'll hook you up with some of that. And just stick right with us. We will be back in just a few minutes for our guest, Mr. Jimmy Lincoln. Hey, we're back after the break. We're here with our guest, and I'm going to read a quick intro, and we're going to get rolling into this segment of our podcast. Today's guest is one we've been wanting to get on the show for a while, especially because his story starts right here in Sikeston. Jimmy Lincoln spent a lifetime around the game of basketball. From his roots here in Sikeston to more than 25 years as a high school head coach, Jimmy built a resume that includes more than 450 wins, 12 state tournament appearances, and coaching stops all across Missouri and Arkansas. And his basketball journey didn't stop at the high school level. Jimmy also made the jump to Division I college basketball, serving on the staffs at Northwestern State and Austin Peay before finally making his way back to Southeast Missouri. Today he's back on the sidelines as a head coach and athletic director at Leopold, still teaching the game, still building programs, and still doing what he spent most of his life doing, coaching basketball. We're going to talk about where the journey started, the coaches and players who influenced him, what he's learned through hundreds of wins and decades on the sideline, his experience at the Division I level, and why after all these years he still loves the game. There's a whole lot of basketball knowledge sitting across the table from us. Jimmy,
Welcome to the doghouse.
Welcome to the doghouse, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's
Absolutely.
probably the first time you've been welcome to the doghouse.
Yeah, usually you find yourself in the doghouse.
That's right, I do.
Jara is she's told me some stories of sending you there quite often.
She has sent me there a lot in the last 42 years.
42, is that what it is?
42 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
You need to thank her. She's a saint.
well, agreed. She has the patience of Job.
Yes, she sure does.
Has to. But no, that really 42 years is that's an accomplishment.
Thank you.
It is a big deal. It is a big deal. So tell us, give us Jimmy Lincoln 101 from when you started. Now you graduated from here, but you grew up in Dexter most of the time, right?
Yes, I was raised in Dexter until my junior year in high school.
Okay,
lived there our whole life, and right after football season, my junior year, our family moved over here to Sikeston, and I went to school here from, my junior year and my senior year here at Sikeston, and it was a great experience and love it. And
were you starting quarterback?
My senior year, I split starting quarterback with Chris Stewart.
Oh, okay. And then, so you kept Pride on the bench then?
Brad Pride would just kind of talk to both of us, I was fortunate enough to get to play defense, so I didn't have to talk to Pride much.
Did he get to run plays in back in the day?
No, he would signal them into us, and we just didn't pay attention to him.
He would say, "Coach, he gave us the wrong play."
That's right.
Brad didn't know what he's doing.
Well, but he did have a good senior year.
He had a great senior year.
He really did have a good senior year.
He was a good quarterback.
Yes, he was.
I agree. So after there, you went Southwest Baptist. Tell how'd you get into coaching after all that?
Well, I got into coaching basically because I came here to Sikeston High School, and Coach Buddy Spears was just awesome.
Okay. So as a mentor, big effect on you?
A great effect on me.
Okay.
When you moved from Dexter to Sikeston, when you did, and I had Coach Spears when I was in 7th grade down at Arkansas State basketball camp for a week, and I was on his team. In those days you went for a whole week to basketball camp, and you did drills and workouts during the day, and at nights you would be on a team, and Coach Spears was my coach. And so when I moved over here, Coach Spears remembered me and I remembered him. And he was like a second father to me. He was so caring, but he just had such an impression on me that I knew when I was in high school, I loved basketball. Now, I played baseball and I played football, and I went to college and played football and baseball, but basketball was my love, but I wasn't good enough to play in college. But Coach Spears had that he just had that influence on me. Mm-hmm. And so when I was in college and, in the off seasons, or when we're not playing ball and over winter break, I was in the Sikeston Fieldhouse with Coach Spears and Coach Thompson and practice and, running tapes to Charleston and coming back and going to games, and just fell in love with the game of basketball. Yeah. And, and Coach Spears had a great influence on that. I'll never forget the first win I got as a high school basketball coach. I called Coach Spears that night. I called my dad, and then I wanted to call Coach Spears to tell him. And I'll never forget the very first district title I ever won, which was in 1995 in Russellville. Coach Spears came to the game that night.
No kidding.
And it was just a great relationship I had with him, and he's the reason I got into basketball.
Wow. I didn't know that story.
Yeah, he had a tremendous influence on me. Coach was very strict and very disciplined, but then he would, no matter what happened, he would call you in before you left if he got on you and made sure that you were okay. And he just had a great influence, and he was just a great mentor for me.
Yeah. Do you emulate a lot of stuff?
Yes, Coach Spears was one of those hard-nosed, just to the grindstone guys. Yeah. And I've coached a lot of years in the game, and it has changed quite a bit since I've been coaching, and coaching has changed. Mm-hmm. But Coach Spears was one of them old school working coaches. Yeah. And and that's kind of what instilled in me of being an old school type of work coach.
Yeah. Did he? I hear stories of some others. Did he have a paddle?
He had a paddle. I never got to experience the paddle. I got to witness the paddle. So I was lucky enough never to experience it. But but if you all remember, in that day, the field house had the track around.
Oh yeah.
And Coach Spears would send you around the track quite a bit, and so it's just the game is really not changed.
Yeah.
But the game has changed.
Right. So. Yeah. I mean, end of the day, you're trying to score points and keep them from scoring, but the 3-point line and all
has
that
changed
stuff.
the game completely.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. We've talked about that quite a bit. So tell us, if you can, in I know you don't have a Reader's Digest version, but give us the history, if you don't mind, where you coached.
Well, I started out in a small school in Dadeville, Missouri. My first, it was over by Bolivar, where I graduated from, and it's a small school, and we graduated 8 the first year, total students. And, it was one of them small town schools, very similar to Leopold. I started in one, I'm going to finish in one. Leopold's the last stop for this coaching career.
Okay.
According, not to me, but to my wife. This is it. This is the last stop. But, Dadeville was a small school. I was a K through 12 PE teacher. I had every kid in school, and I coached the baseball team and I coached the junior high teams.
Probably drove a bus. Probably did all kinds of stuff.
I never drove the bus.
Oh, okay.
I've kind of stayed away from driving the bus. I'm too radical on the sideline. Sometimes I do not need to be driving the bus home after games. So, but you're at a small school like that, and you coached everything.
Yeah.
I was coached junior high girls and junior high boys, and had the boys teams, and then had baseball after basketball season. Yeah. And my journey in the coaching has had some different twists and turns because of a family business.
Yeah.
I was at Dadeville and got out of coaching and went and worked in the family business. And everybody knows we're in long-term care, and so I did that for a couple of years. And it's a great business. It's a family business, and it's been very blessed to be part of it. But it didn't get that adrenaline going.
Yep.
And so
always something in the back of your mind.
Once one thing about coaching, it's like an addiction that you got to have it. Is
it the competitive? It's funny you said that. I've asked Hollifield and other guys. I'm Greg's done it forever. Like, why do you still do it? And he said, I love to compete.
It is the competitiveness of the game.
Yeah.
And you can't get that. You can't go to the golf course and get that. And once you get older, there's something about the adrenaline. I mean, I'm 61 years old. I've been coaching a long time, just like Greg. And I can promise you, when I say this, Greg can agree. If you're still in this thing and you don't sleep the night before the game and you can't sleep the night of the game, you still love the game and you love that competition. Yeah. The minute that I'm not anxious the night before or at the game, then it's time to get out. But there's still nights now, after all these years of coaching, that you can't sleep the night before a game because you're so amped up and anxious for it. And you don't get that working in a business once you know what that adrenaline is like, and that's what it is.
Wow. And, well, you're like the rest of us. Father Time is undefeated, and you can't go do it anymore. I mean, You can go shoot the ball around or whatever, but you can't get that competitive juices from actually doing it. So this is the next best thing.
It is.
Right?
It's in coaching, it's so much different than playing. When you're playing, you can actually physically make sure that you can make a change. Coaching, you coach in a way, and you guys have seen me. I'm a wild maniac on the sidelines, and I've calmed down than in the earlier years. But it's that competitiveness to get those kids doing it, and so there's just something about the game. It is a great game, and I just feel like I've just been so blessed to be able to do it at the levels I've done it. From the smaller schools to the big schools, from boys basketball to girls basketball, and then into college. It's just, you don't get these type of experiences in a lifetime, and it's just been a blessing for me all these years.
Yeah. So Dadeville. Yeah, sorry.
Dadeville.
It's fine. We can chase all the rabbits. We got plenty of time.
I was at Dadeville, and then I got in the business, and then I went to St. Dominic High School in St. Louis.
Which we talked about
this upstairs.
Yeah, which we've going there, I say Sikeston, since 2010 was our first year.
I was in St. Dominic in 93, 4, 5, and we were in a Christmas tournament at our arch rival.
Thank you for telling the story.
And Duchesne High School, very good high school, very successful in sports. Mm-hmm. And I had a really good administrator. Father Finn was the administrator of the school, and we decided to do a Christmas tournament. We had an opportunity with one of our players and students at the school had a connection with Coca-Cola, and so we went to Coke to get a sponsorship, and we got a sponsorship. And so our first year we did the tournament, we had 14 teams in the tournament.
All boys?
All boys. And it was really neat. We sent letters out, and we got, Wentzville High School at that time, which is now broken up into Timberlake and Holt and all of those. And, we had Hillsboro, and we had Parkway South, and we had Marquette. Marquette was just a new school. And John David Patillo was at Marquette at that time. So that kind of helped us. I knew John David from the days down here in Southeast Missouri. And so when we got Marquette to come to the tournament, it kind of helped get us out to get other schools that decided to come. And, we had Warrenton, and we had Fort Zumwalt South come to it. So,
Was that Friedel guy, was he the coach then? There's a guy that's been there for a long time.
He was at North. Wasn't Friedel at North?
He's at South now. Maybe he started at North.
I think he started at North.
Okay. Good coach.
Yeah.
Really good. Bill Friedel.
Yes.
Is his name.
Yeah, Bill. And so we got some teams to come to that thing. And, I was talking to Greg. Jeff Limbaugh and I saw Greg about, a month and a half ago. And we were sitting there talking. And I said, Greg, how do you like that Dominic tournament? And I told him, I said, you owe me. I'm the one that got it started. And, the Dominic tournament went from a boys 16-team tournament. And then St. Dominic's girls got really good in basketball, so they did an 8-and-8 tournament. And so I think that's what they still do now.
They do. They do. Yep.
Matter of fact, girls and boys go up to play.
Yeah, both of our boys and girls play. Interesting note with that. The first year we played was the year we won state, and their girls won Class 4. We won Class 4. They won Class 4 that year. That was a pretty cool deal for the first time.
And like we was talking about upstairs, when I was at St. Dominic, it was 600 kids in the high school. And now, the St. Charles O'Fallon is now just one. And so, now it's a school of 12, 13, 1,400 students.
Yeah,
and
I forget what Kevin Roberts said. Yeah. It's a big school now.
Yeah, so it's it's kind of exciting. I've got a son. My oldest son now lives in St. Louis, and so there's days that I go up and see him, and you kind of piddle around. So you got to drive out and look at it. And,
well, of course,
and so it is kind of neat. So the Sikeston Bulldogs have had a lot of success at the old St. Dominic Christmas tournament, and I think Greg needs to thank me for that at some point.
I will have him on here again, and we'll make sure that we give Jimmy Lincoln his due credit for starting the St. Dominic tournament.
Thank you very much.
It is a good tournament.
It is.
It's a fun tournament. There's always.
Is it sponsored by Emo's now? Ain't it?
It is Emo's sponsor. They did, and maybe Chick-fil-A or somebody. Anyway.
Yeah.
But you said it was Coca-Cola.
It was Coca-Cola when we started. Yeah. And here's what's exciting for Sikeston. Sikeston sits down here, and all these big schools are the same. Mm-hmm. You got Cape and Jackson and Bluff and Notre Dame. You can't just keep playing each other all the time. And I think that's great that Sikeston has went to a tournament where there's nobody there on their regular season schedule, which it's hard for these big schools to get away from doing that. Yep. So I think it's a great tournament for them.
I agree. That was, we weren't in we have our SEMO conference tournament, and then a few weeks later is Christmas. And if we played in the Christmas tournament in Cape, we'd be playing the same teams.
Yes.
Cape, Jackson, Charleston, there's some different ones in there, but the schools at Notre Dame,
the schools that win it are
typically the main five are the SEMO conference schools.
That's right. Except when Scott Central has a really good team. Who was it last year?
Woodland was really
had
good
a really
last
good
year.
team
Yes.
last year. That's right. And they lost to Jackson in the finals, I
Yes.
think, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. The fact that they go up there is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So St. Dominic?
It was St. Dominic for 3 years, and
yeah.
then I moved to the lake of the Ozarks. I went to Russellville, and kind of moved down there for family reasons.
Sure.
Got back in the business at that time. Went to a school where I could just coach. When I first started, they weren't doing that. You had to
Be a
teach and
teacher.
coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when I went back to Russellville, that was one of the reasons I could just, coach and work in the family business, and been in the family business since then. And so, I went to Russellville, had 3 really good years, and then got out, and that's when I went, our business kind of went from smaller to bigger. And so I got out for 3 or 4 years. I think I was out 4 years until, I was down here. We moved back down to Southeast Missouri because of our family business. And then that's when, the Richland had a coach that kind of left late in the season, had a situation that he had to go to in Mississippi. And so I finished out the year. And then, as my wife said, they kind of talked you into doing it. And I said, yeah, it didn't take much.
I was going to say, I bet they didn't have your arm twisted behind your back much, did they?
No, they did not. Yeah. So, I was at Richland a couple years and living here. My kids were getting in high school. I was going to watch them play. And then, I was here. I kind of helped Danny over at Farmer a couple years. There was a situation that he needed some help, and Danny Farmer and I were friends. Our kids played travel ball together in the summer. For Jeff Limbaugh, give a shout out to Jeff and Todd Baker. And so
Todd Baker,
yeah,
really.
Yeah.
It's good to hear about Todd.
Yeah, Todd's down in Alabama still.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Todd was my Little League basketball coach, he and Bogle.
Yeah, I feel sorry for you.
I was just going to say, I can tell you some stories about them.
I can tell you this, your team never won, and those guys never coached any later than that.
That was it. That was the end of their coaching careers.
It was. I can promise you it was. So
That's funny.
Anyway, so then after that, I moved back to mid-Missouri and coached my boys at Tipton, and then went to Eldon, and then got out again for a while. Went down to Springfield. Our family went down there and started running a hospice, and got the bug again and coached 6 years girls basketball. So it was an adjustment, but I was out and, it kind of lost the fire a little bit. Was kind of, the boys had graduated and still had Sammy at the house. And but I had an old superintendent that tried to hire me years ago in the early 90s and called me up and said, "Are you coaching and you living in Springfield?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." He said, "Come talk to me." And so we talked. He said, "I want to hire you as my coach." And I said, "Well, I'm interested." He goes, "It's girls basketball." And I said, "I can't do that."
I was just going to ask you how that went.
Well, I told him that day, I said, "Listen, God knows he gave me 3 boys." And I said, "I've been with my wife, and I've dated since 16 years old, and I don't understand her to this day. I cannot coach girls." And he talked me into it, and I enjoyed it. It's different.
Yeah.
But I coached him exactly the same way.
That's what I was getting ready to ask you.
I coached him exactly the same way. Now, fortunately, I had a little point guard that played for me for 6 years, and she went and played, 5 years of college basketball. And so if you got a really good one, it makes
it 6 years. Oh, you're in Arkansas.
Well, no, when I took the job, I coached the junior high, and
gotcha.
It's a small school. You coach the junior high and the high school. So she played 6 years for me, and then played 5 years of college ball. And
okay, where was that in Springfield, or were you?
I was in Omaha, Arkansas, which is just right south of Branson.
Okay, yeah.
It was about a 40-minute drive from Springfield.
Okay, okay.
And so that's the big coaching career, and then went to coach college, with Corey.
Did he like, "Hey, I need some help," kind of thing?
Well, no. Here's I've known Corey since Corey was 15 years old.
Yeah.
Watched him play in high school. Great high school player. Was at Scott Central, and then he went to Richland. Matter of fact, he coached Clay and Joe in a little 3-on-3 tournament when he was a senior in high school, and he coached them. They were in like 7th and 6th grade.
Really?
And so
I didn't realize he was at Scott Central before.
Yeah.
That. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And he coached at Austin Peay as an assistant. And my son Joe had played, he played with the Dodgers and got out of minor leagues. And he needed to finish up his, schooling, and the coach at Austin Peay had recruited him out of high school. And so he went down and became a student assistant and then became an assistant coach there. And then Joe got a job at Missouri State the same year that Corey got a job at Missouri State. So both of them kind of, Austin Peay for 3 years, and then they went to Missouri State. And
so who was the coach? Was that Conzo that Corey went to work for?
No,
over there?
Corey went to go work for the guy that was from Purdue. I can't think of his name.
Oh, okay.
And then he worked with... you're going to catch me. I'll think of his name.
I wasn't trying to catch you off guard.
But when Corey was there, he was friends with the family because we knew each other, and he'd come watch my grandkids play soccer or play basketball, and he always made a comment to me. He'd always say, "When I get that head coaching job, you're coming with me," and I'd be like, "Okay, yeah." And he got the Northwestern State, Louisiana job, and called me up after he took the job, and he said, "When are you coming?" And I go, "Okay." Well, he goes, and there's a story behind that. I don't want to get into political, but at the time when he went, the NCAA, we were just out of COVID situation, and the NCAA was still, had the vaccine mandate and all that. And so, I didn't take it. He called me in June of that summer after he took the job in April, and he said, "Hey, July 1st, they're doing a new mandate. The NCAA is going to change the rules." And so Jared and I drove down to Louisiana, and I took the job, and, with the blessings of my boys and all that. I mean, there's very few coaches that go from coaching girls high school basketball
to coaching.
That's a big jump.
To coaching Division I college basketball as an assistant.
Yeah.
And what was crazy, after our first year, I was speaking at the Louisiana State High School Basketball Coaches Association. I was speaking at the clinic, and one of the coaches was a female coach. When during a question and answer session, she asked me a question about, could I do some of the things offensively you're talking about, with girls basketball? And I said, well, I'm going to blow your mind. I said, this exact play that I drew up called Oklahoma, I said, I ran it as a high school girls basketball coach 2 years ago. And then they wanted to go, how did you get here? And I said, it's a crazy story, but I ran that in high school girls, and we ran that at Northwestern State in a Division I conference championship game against Corpus Christi, And so, when I say this is what's crazy. Basketball is the same. Mm-hmm. It don't matter what level you're at. Mm-hmm. It's the fundamentals of the game. Mm-hmm. And so, but then I was at Northwestern State with Corey, and then, we had a very good, successful year and won 22 ball games. And then he got the Austin Peay job, which is his alma mater, and the entire coaching staff, we all went with him.
Oh.
So every one of us went.
And a few players.
About 6 of them. Made us pretty good pretty fast.
Yeah. So was the kid there with the one arm?
Yes.
What's his name?
Hansel.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Impressive athlete, but to do that with whichever, that's unbelievable.
Let me tell you the story about Hansel. They were recruiting him before I got there in July.
Where's he from?
He's from the Dominican.
Oh, okay. All right.
But he went to high school in Florida at a Christian high school.
Okay.
Hansel, they were recruiting him, and we signed him. Okay, so he comes in, and it's a different phenomena with him. He doesn't have his left arm.
Okay.
He's got one hand, and you get out there, and when you first watch him, you're thinking there's unbelievable the things he can do.
Yep.
And the little things we don't think about. When you're on the college coaching staff, the way Corey did it is every coach had so many players, and that was their players. You were responsible for their academics, their basketball, the film sessions. I was the offensive coordinator, but I still had 4 players. Well, I also had to work with Hansel, and you don't even think about things that we don't think about, just tying our shoes. But to sit there and watch him tie his shoes, he wouldn't let nobody tie his shoes. He learned how to tie his shoes with one hand. And he would step on his lace, and then he could do it.
Holy cow.
And so
I never even considered that.
Yeah. He couldn't cut a steak. You don't even think about the little things that we do every day. But as a basketball player, he was so gifted and athletic. He did things on the court that you couldn't understand.
Oh, I've seen just clips of him.
Yeah.
You got to see him every day.
And then you get to the point that you don't even notice that he only has one hand or one arm.
Yeah. I forgot about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you don't even notice it. If you're sitting there in practice every day, you just forget all about it. Now, here was the thing that we had with that first Northwestern team. We had Hansel, who he was a rock star. When we got him, we had to literally get security for him everywhere he went. And when we would go on the road, we traveled with 3 security guards, because not only did we have Hansel, we had Jordan Wilmore, who played at Mizzou at one time and was 7'3". So we had 2 people that everybody wanted to take pictures with. So I'll never forget our first game I ever coached at the college level. We're playing at Texas Tech at Lubbock. Okay.
Gosh.
So we fly out there, and when we get to our hotel, there's probably 500 fans there just to see Hansel and Jordan Wilmore. Our security has to get us in the hotels. And that's how it was for the 2 years that I was with Hansel down in Louisiana and Austin Peay. We just, everywhere we went, we had fans because of him and because of them. And so, it's kind of an experience that you don't even think about, because you just get into the daily routine of everything. But you look back now and you think, wow, that's crazy.
That was special.
It was. It's a great memories that I'll have that you most people don't have the luxury or the, being blessed to have that type of memories. And I got to thank Corey Gibson.
Yeah.
I mean, how many coaches tell you for 5 years when I get a head coaching job, and I went with him and spent 2 years with him. It's a young man's game. We moved back up here for specific reasons, and wanted to move back to Southeast Missouri. But Corey gave me an opportunity, and it's something that there's a lot of coaches. There's a lot of great high school coaches. There's thousands of high school coaches better than I ever thought about coaching, but never got the opportunity like that, And I know here we're sitting in Sikeston, Missouri, and I know Greg's had tremendous opportunities to go, at the college level. And he and I's talked about it. He would have been a great college coach, but, he does such a great job, and he's built such a great program. It'd be tough to leave knowing that you got a chance to win state year in, year out, and especially at a 4A, 5A level.
Right.
There's been some dynasties around here. Charleston's been a dynasty for years. Scott Central was a dynasty. Sometimes the dynasties are easier the smaller the school. Greg's built a dynasty here in a big school level.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
So that's kind of the jumping around career.
That's okay. That's okay. So how different is it, like Division I? I know you said basketball is basketball and you ran the same plays and stuff, but it's got to be something different about it. I mean, just the athletes themselves, or
when you get to Division I, here's what I tell everybody: when you go to Division I, all 13 of those scholarships, which it's 15 now, all 15 are all states. All 15 are usually the best player on their team, and all 15 can score because everybody can score.
Right.
So, the ones that are successful in college is they got to understand their roles. You're bringing in 15 kids and trying to mesh them into a team on the court where they're not the main go-to guy every time. And there's a lot of difference in that. Practices are a lot different. We would sit there and practice, and you do breakdown drills for like a 3-man defense and an offensive breakdown drill. You might do it for 1 solid hour.
Wow.
But now that's how we did it. That's how I did it with Corey. So, other coaches might be different, but it's not much different. There's a lot. College basketball is a job for the players. They are being paid.
Especially now.
They're getting paid, literally getting paid, and they're getting their education. It's a job.
Yeah.
And so, Austin Peay is a great example. None of our kids sat in class. Everything was online. We started at a 7:30 breakfast every morning that the entire team ate together as a breakfast. They left there, went straight to the trainer's room, straight to get taped. We started at 9 o'clock. Every day at 9 o'clock. We were done at noon. Now, that 3-hour segment was maybe 2 hours on the court, an hour in the film room. After that, in the afternoon, they have a 2 o'clock weightlifting. They have a 4 o'clock study hall. And after the 4 o'clock study hall, after they eat supper, they come in for individual work at 7 or 8 o'clock. Now, that is every single day.
It's a grind.
It is a grind. Yeah. And it's a grind all around. It's a grind on coaches because, the season never ends, because when your season's over, you're dealing with the portal, the transfer portal. You're recruiting the whole time. You're on your kids. You got to make sure. The hardest part for kids is, if some of them get in the portal, you got to make sure they keep their grades. When we left from Louisiana to go to Austin Peay, we left 3 coaches in Louisiana to make sure the kids kept their grades because they had to stay there. One of the things that at Northwestern the AD asked is our kids did not leave and do their onlines. They still had to test in Louisiana. So we had 3 coaches that had to stay to make sure our kids all, got their grades and passed all their courses in that spring semester.
Really?
Yeah.
They have to qualify for, to be able to be eligible academically?
They have to keep their academic up.
Oh, my gosh.
But here's the difference in college and high school. When we were at Northwestern State, we played Corpus Christi on a Wednesday afternoon NCAA game on TV to go to the tournament. We had the Wednesday afternoon 2 o'clock game.
Yep, during the
March Madness.
Championship week or whatever they call it, yeah.
So we're playing that game. Well, my wife, we're playing in Lake Charles, Louisiana. We're in Natchitoches is where Northwestern State is, which is about an hour and 45 minutes south to Lake Charles. So she drove down because no matter what, we played on a Wednesday, and the selection the next week was when the Big 12 and the SEC and all them have their tournaments. We had it a week early. So myself and Coach Ward, our recruiting coordinator, he was heading to Texas to a JUCO regional, and I was going from Lake Charles to Florida to go down to the Florida junior college regionals to go start recruiting.
Probably going down to see Lane.
That's a little bit before.
Lane Blue?
Lane wasn't down there yet.
Oh, okay.
Was he at Ole Miss? Or?
I don't know where Lane was at. He had the next year.
He came down?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, we're getting ready. We get beat in the championship game. Okay. So the next day, the bus is leaving at 9 o'clock in the morning to head back to Natchitoches. And I'm getting ready. I'm packed up, and my wife's going with me to Florida. If you go recruiting in the right places, your wife goes. Florida in March was one of them. Right. If I would have been heading to Minnesota in March, she wouldn't have took that trip.
I think I'm going to go home. Yeah, South Dakota.
Unless she was a skier.
Yeah. So what happens, here's the crazy part. So Austin Peay they had fired their coach, and they had came to the championship game, their athletic director and their assistant athletic director, to watch the game because Corey was on their short list of coaching candidates. Okay. So about 8:30 in the morning on that Thursday morning after we get beat, my car is loaded. Corey calls me and says, you need to ride the bus back to Natchitoches. He goes, I'm interviewing at Austin Peay, and he said, I want everybody on the bus back. I said, okay, what about Florida? He said, you just need to take the bus back. So we all take the bus back. We sit down as a coaching staff when we get back, and he tells us that, he's interviewing at Austin Peay. They're flying him out today. He'll be back Saturday. So they flew him out on Thursday. That night, he flew back in on Saturday, and on Sunday at 1 o'clock, we had a coaches meeting. And then we had a players meeting at 3 o'clock. So at the coaches meeting on Sunday, now you got to remember, we just lost on Wednesday. On Sunday, he told us he took the Austin Peay job, and he offered, he just went through the room and said, do you want to go? He offered the jobs, and we all wanted to go. He said, we're going to go meet with the team. Now, Jer and I had basically rented an Airbnb in Louisiana. We took clothes.
Okay.
We still had our house in Springfield, and it was we took our clothes. So we meet with the players. On Monday, he goes, I need you. When are you going to be able to go? I said, I can get packed up. So on Monday night, I left Louisiana. On Tuesday, I was in Springfield. And on Wednesday, 1 week later, I was in Clarksville, Tennessee, running a practice because we didn't want all of our kids to get in the transfer portal at Austin Peay. That's college basketball. Wow. So I was gone and back home because I was on a month-to-month lease, and I was in Clarksville, Tennessee at the Holiday Inn Express. A week later, running Austin Peay, I was at practices at Austin Peay.
Holy cow.
And that's what people don't understand about the college game, the difference. And they don't understand. I could not have done that with my kids, younger kids.
No.
You can't. Yeah. It's just totally different.
Yeah.
Coach Hamilton, who was our defensive coordinator, the associate head coach, his wife was teaching in Louisiana. He had 2 girls in school, so he stayed back. Of course, he's there with his family.
Right.
The college game is just so totally different.
Yep.
That makes you think a little different about Lane Kiffin last year. I mean, like leaving in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they kind of pushed him out a little bit.
Well, they did. But, he's sitting there and has another school knocking down the door. And, people can say what they want to about Lane Kiffin, but I guarantee it and I'm just going to use Matt as an example. He's the president of the bank here in town. If another one, in Cape Girardeau is going to triple his salary, I guarantee it, he's going to talk to him.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee you. And that's college. And college has turned the college game has turned to more like the professional game.
Yeah.
And they got to get control of the NIL and the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And I think they're trying.
They are.
So have you studied any on the Save a College Athletes or whatever
there's some kind of bill they're trying to pass or something?
Yeah, I haven't studied it. It's a great experience, and I'm just so happy that I got to do it.
Yeah.
But it's different. I mean, I'm gonna tell you. My assistant coach that I brought with me. One of the guys that was my assistant. I had an assistant in Casey Henry at Louisiana, and he came with us to Austin Peay. Well, he came with me when I moved back here and went to Leopold, and he taught. But it's 70 hours a week, and
right.
He was the player development coach, and he's making $15,000 in whatever you can make off the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Now, if you're at a power 4, there's a different pay scale.
Okay.
Right, exactly. When you're at a mid-tier Division I, that pay scale's different. Yeah. And so,
are they in the Missouri Valley? Austin Peay's Missouri
no,
Valley?
they were in the ASUN, Atlantic Sun.
Yeah.
And they just changed to a new conference.
They all changed to it's a very new conference.
It's a brand new conference. They've got
Conference USA or what?
No. They got a name for it. I can't think of the name.
I can't think of it either.
But it is the football schools of the ASUN. It is Eastern Kentucky, Central Arkansas,
Northern Alabama,
Austin Peay, and then it was Texas, Arlington in it, some other Texas schools.
Okay.
And they made kind of a football conference, and the rest of the ASUN non-football schools, they're kind of like a partner conference.
Okay.
And so that's what they're doing. The great thing about it, and I went down to one of Corey's elite camps. A couple of my players went down and played in one of his elite camps. But he said it's a great situation because they're really one conference and split for conference championships, and they do get 2 bids.
Oh, wow.
They each get a bid.
Oh, okay.
So, that the ASUN was 14 teams and with 1 bid. So now it's kind of a 2 8-team conferences, but they each get a bid. So,
well, that works.
I think the 8 is the minimum that you can to get an automatic bid.
To get an automatic bid.
NCAA bid?
Yes.
Well, they're Austin Peay, Eastern Kentucky, and maybe you name one other. Those used to be OVC schools.
Yes, they were all in the OVC.
The OVC not that long ago was a decent mid-tier conference.
Yes, it was.
Because you had Murray, Belmont, those schools. SEMO was still in it. There was Illinois,
Tennessee Tech,
Tennessee
Tech,
State. Yeah,
all those schools were. It was a good conference.
Yep.
And
where's Nolan? What's his name? The guy played at Duke. He's at Tennessee Tech or State. We went up and watched SEMO play last year. Nolan. He played at Duke. He's the head coach of one of those teams, either Tennessee State or Tennessee Tech. I can't remember. Anyway, I have to find it.
Tennessee Tech's still in the, or they got out, didn't they?
No, they both are in, right?
No, Tech's in.
Yeah, I think Tech and State is too, right? The Tigers.
I don't know. State might be in there with in that other conference that is. Oh, I don't know. You got me on the spot.
It changes every day. I mean,
I told you I wouldn't put you on the spot, and I put you on the spot about half a dozen times already. Yeah. So, well, that sounds like a totally different way of life and way of.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad I got to do it.
Sure.
It was a great experience. And here's the crazy part. When we went to Louisiana, I was still hesitant. I had all three of my boys at that time were living in Springfield. We were living 2 houses down from our oldest son and his 3 grandkids. And, I was kind of like, and basically, Corey took Jarrah. They went to eat.
Oh, he sold Jarrah.
He sold Jarrah on the idea. And Jarrah was for it. Jarrah was like, you've spent your whole coaching career.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity. They go to eat, and here's what's crazy. We had a meeting, and he's bringing his players in. We had like a practice, and, it's in the summer, and all of a sudden he just called me up and introduced me. And this is going to be, one of our assistant coaches. Lucky enough, I've known him, and I hired him, and blah, 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 blah. And so when we get done, I go, Corey. He goes, Jarrah said you're coming. So
okay.
And I'm glad I did. It was a great experience,
Yeah.
But you got to understand how blessed I am. That was a big move for my wife.
Yeah.
Moving
Absolutely.
away from grandkids. But
I was just gonna say that.
But she was 100% for it.
Awesome.
So
that. Wow.
So your boys still live over in Springfield? Or?
I have one that lives in Ozark, and now my youngest one lives in Jeff City. He's a lawyer, so he gets paid to talk. He knows how.
Wonder where you get that from.
His mother.
Right.
And then my oldest one, Clay, runs one of our ancillary companies in our business. He lives in St. Louis.
Okay. So I didn't realize Sammy was is an attorney.
Yes.
Where'd he go to law school?
University of Minnesota.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
He
a golden gopher.
He enjoyed it.
Cool.
He was up there during some very interesting times. So.
I can imagine.
He knows how to talk right past 15 minutes because them lawyers are paid on 15-minute segments. I can watch him on the phone at 16 minutes. He's ready to hang it up just because he got by that 15 minutes.
Send me a bill so you can collect. So after you were there, Austin Peay 1 year or 2 years?
I was 1 year.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. And then you came back here.
Then I'm here.
Yep. And how did Leopold come about?
When I decided we were going to move back to Southeast Missouri, Jarrah's got family here. Rob Clay, one of the best accountants in town, is Jarrah's first cousin.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And
I graduated with Rob. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
He does our taxes. Rob, you need to do a little bit better job. Anyway.
I paid too much in taxes.
That's
yeah.
Right. But, we decided to move here, and this is crazy. As a coach, you think, okay, what am I going to do? Because I've just went from working 70 hours a week for 50 weeks a year,
Gosh.
And so you're used to working. And so, you pull up jobs, and I noticed Leopold was open. And so I just called, and, I'm in Springfield when we made up our mind. I was still working at Austin Peay. I was in Springfield recruiting, but Corey had known that there's some other factors that came into this thing. With my dad had called me a couple times. My dad's an early riser. We started at 6 a.m. My dad called me at 5:30 about some stuff. And so Corey knew this was coming in the making, and he wasn't surprised. But I'm in Springfield during the week of Final Four. They all went to the Final Four. I came to Springfield to see grandkids and go to Jeff City and see grandkids.
Right.
And I'm just looking for jobs, and there was only 2 openings in Southeast Missouri. Twin Rivers was open, looking for a coach at that time, and Leopold. I'd only been at Leopold one time in my life, and so I just called, and I asked for the superintendent. He wasn't there. But the secretary, Rhonda Beal, who's the secretary now, she goes, our high school principal's here. Would you like to talk to her? So she got on the phone, and I said, is your basketball job still open? And she goes, yes. She goes, we're still taking applications. We haven't filled it. It's, Peay and athletic director and boys basketball in junior high and high school. I said, well, I'm interested. And she goes, okay, do you have any experience? And I said, well, I'm right now coaching at Austin Peay State University, but I'm getting out of college and I'm moving back to Southeast Missouri. And there's silence on the phone.
She's like, whatever.
I can't afford this guy.
She goes, what is your name? And I said, Jimmy Lincoln. And I heard her clicking on her keyboard. And I finally go, yeah, if you pulled up the Austin Peay coaching staff, I'm the ball-headed guy. And she goes, how did you know I was doing that? I said, I could hear the keyboards. And so she goes, Mr. Britt, our superintendent, is not here. He's at a meeting today, but I'll write down your number. If you're interested, I'll have him call you. And so that night, about 5:30, I got a phone call. And he goes, is this Jimmy Lincoln? And I go, yeah. He goes, did you call here today? And I said, yes. He goes, are you interested in this job? And I go, I started in a small school. I'm going to end my career in a small school. At that time, I'm 59 years old, and I said, I'm moving back from college. And he goes, where are you at? And I go, well, I'm in Springfield. He goes, when do you want to come talk? And I said, I can't do it tomorrow. He goes, I can be here Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So I went up there and sat down with him, and it's crazy. We're sitting there talking, and so he goes, are you wanting to teach? And I said, do I have to? He goes, have you ever taught? I go, yes, I've taught, but we had chalk and chalkboards. He goes, yeah, you ain't taught in a while, have you? And I said, no, I haven't taught in a long time. I said, but I like to coach, and I can be the AD, because I've been the AD at Tipton, and I was the AD at Russellville, and so I've been an AD before at Hollister.
Yeah.
And so we talked, and so he asked the first question about coaching and what would a practice look like. And as you guys can tell, I don't have a hard time talking. And so I talked for about 15 minutes, and he goes, yeah, you're way above my head. Do you want this job? And that was it. But he had to get the school board to approve it. But,
that's right.
That's kind of how the interview went. And so,
You just did it on the phone at that point?
No, I was there. I drove up.
You said that. Yeah.
I drove up, and Leopold's a really neat little community. And so,
it's almost like going to a private school.
It's basically a private school. We
Wow.
Like this year, I think we're going to have 58 kids in the high school this year. Last year we had 54 kids in the high school.
58 kids in the high school.
Yeah, we graduated 9 students last year. So,
wow. How many are in the whole district? Got a couple hundred?
We had a meeting this morning that I went to this morning, and we're at 202 students K through 12 this year right now.
Okay.
So
okay. Wow.
Yeah. So it's a very unique place.
Yeah.
It's very. I mean, it's 99% Catholic.
Oh yeah.
And it's everybody goes to the Catholic church and everybody supports the school. It is 1980s and 90s, and it's great. It's an experience up there that is just it's unique. It's the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Everybody supports the school. Last year, being the athletic director, if you take all of the MISHA sports and activities, which includes the Scholar Bowl and the music and everything.
Yeah.
Of our 54 kids last year, 52 of them was on a MISHA eligibility roster.
Holy cow.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
That's the whole school. I mean,
the whole
literally.
school is involved. Now we're including cheerleading and everything.
Sure, of course.
Here's what's exciting about Leopold. We have 4 team sports. We have cross country. Now you can make it a team sport, but we never have enough runners. So we have boys and girls cross country, and then we have volleyball, girls basketball, or boys basketball, baseball, and softball. That's the only 4 sports we have. We do not have girls basketball.
Oh.
Now, we were going to co-op with Delta, but it just, didn't work out. Our girls are volleyball players. Here's the exciting thing. Of those 4 teams last year, all 4 of them played in the district championship game. 3 of them won districts. Boys basketball, boys baseball, and girls volleyball all won their district tournaments.
Wow.
And our girls softball team got beat by Oak Ridge in the championship game, who won the state in spring softball. Our girls volleyball team got beat by Bismarck in the sectionals, who won state in volleyball. And so, it's kind of it's one of those small schools that athletics is very important.
Wow. So it's the parents that are very supportive of it.
Our gym, we've already got 3rd and 4th grade basketball schedule practice times in the school year, and we've already got 3rd and 4th grade volleyball and 5th and 6th practice schedule times already for this school year.
Wow.
And I don't think I've ever been in Leopold's gym.
I'm not sure.
It is.
I drove past it.
It's small.
Yeah.
We can maybe get 350 in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's, and they support. I mean, they support our sports. We won districts and played at Advance in the sectional game.
Yep.
And I would say that we probably had, I don't know what the Advance gym holds, probably 800 to 1,000.
Yeah.
I'd say we had 750 people there. That everybody that was ever associated with Leopold was there.
That was the first basketball or second
district title in the history of the school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a very good volleyball school. They've won 3 state titles over their history. Won a lot of districts. Our last district championship was 2013. They went on a dry run. Sandy Davis was the coach that went to 2 Final Fours and won some districts. She retired, got out. We brought her back. Last year was her first year. We won our district, and we got beat by Bismarck in 5 sets, 16-14 in the last game.
Holy cow!
Yeah. So I think I was telling Matt earlier. Here's the really neat part about Leopold and their athletics. We have a senior girl that's already committed to Murray State Division I volleyball. We've got another girl that's committed to Maryville University, Division II volleyball. Mm-hmm. We've got another girl that had numerous volleyball schools talk to her, but she's a softballer that she's going to go play wherever she wants. She could play at Division I or Division II All-State softball player this last year. Very good volleyball player. If you look at some of the things of Southeast Missouri volleyball, she's considered one of the top players in the area. And then we've got 2 or 3 other younger girls that will go play Division I or II volleyball.
Jeez. And
then in our basketball-wise, I've got a sophomore that's going to be a sophomore, already has a Division I offer. Already has like 4 or 5 Division I's talking to him. I've got a senior guard that's, he's got a couple Division IIs talking to him, but a lot of NAIAs and JUCOs talking to him. Yep. We've got a baseball player that's got Division IIs already offering to him. So, you take a school of 50 some odd kids and I can name you, 6 to 8 kids that are going to go play Division I or II ball.
Jeez.
That's impressive.
That's super impressive.
But that is a shout out to those parents.
Yeah.
Because everybody's there. Everybody knows it's important. I'll give you another number that's more exciting. Our average ATC score is 23 at our school.
What?
Yes.
23.
That's our school average. So it is a.
I think the state. I'm on the school board here. I'm trying to think. Ours was. I think the state's 18 or 19 or maybe 20, but that's way above that.
Yeah, wow. It's very impressive.
Wow.
And they're supportive.
Yeah,
they're very, very supportive of. We got a great booster club that does a lot. I mean, bought volleyball uniforms this year, brand new scoreboards for the basketball for the gym. They bought travel sweats for the basketball team, and we just didn't get one set of 25. We've got 2 different color sweats. They bought 50 sets of travel sweats.
Wow.
It's a very supportive community.
I guess.
It's you can talk about having a career and going and doing all these things, but it's really neat to go back and you get to end on something so so much fun, as how Leopold is.
So how far is Leopold from Cape? Roughly?
Oh, it's
half hour.
It takes me about 40 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Which is, when I first started coaching, I thought it was important to live in the community that you're coaching in. You want to support the communities. I like the fact that, you get time to wind down after practice. I used to go home and the first person that had to hear everything was Gerald. Now, after 40 minutes of me driving, I don't want to talk about it no more because
right.
As you all can tell on the podcast, I can talk to myself in the car for 40 minutes. I'm not wanting to talk no more when I get home about it. So, but it's good. It lets you wind down a little bit and, stuff like that.
So did you've obviously taken over different programs. What did you have to do, or did you have to do anything different to instill a culture, or are you still doing that? What does that look like?
I've been really proud of one thing. Out of all the schools I've coached at, now Leopold was a little different. They went 14-13 the year before I got there.
Okay, so they weren't terrible.
They weren't terrible. They had come off winning a district championship about 5 years ago and had just kind of.
Who was that coach then?
Gary Pointer.
Okay, was Leopold? No. I'm thinking.
You're probably thinking of Carlton Toma, who was there forever.
Well, but I was thinking of Oak Ridge because there was a really good player at Oak Ridge. Probably that David something Trimmer was the coach for a while. I was thinking Leopold.
Yeah, because he was at the 6-man.
Yes, that's right. Never mind. I was thinking Leopold.
But
sorry.
Every one of the programs I've kind of taken over, they were struggling. And I kind of got the reputation that, come in and, he can get him turned around. And that's kind of what I've done. I mean, it's just,
what is it that you do? Or is there a silver bullet, or is there a secret recipe? Or
well, here's the thing. If you want to coach old school style coaching, which I'm very intense, I put the defensive foundation in. That's the most important thing to me, is to get that established. This is how we're going to do it. And you can push kids and you can coach the way you want to coach, as long as when you step outside those lines, you have a relationship with them. If you don't have a relationship, I couldn't coach with these kids if I was the same on the court and off the court. You burn kids out. Kids are different nowadays. Yeah. When we grew up, it was, coaches could do whatever. You just had to please the coach, because we all went home. I mean, I'm old, but when I went home and the teacher got on to me, the teacher was right. My parents didn't want to know any of my side of the story. She's right. Correct. And if you got a paddling at school, if I got 3 licks, I got 3 licks at home.
That's right.
And it's changed nowadays. Over the years, it's changed. Now the kids are never at fault. It's always somebody else's fault. And, you got to be able to have a relationship with the kids. And that's part of it. But, you got to establish what you're going to do as a coach. And when Coach Spears taught us this, we played a lot of man and a lot of matchup zones, which was man principles. If you don't know how to play man, you can't play a matchup.
That's exactly right.
But we worked on our defense, which that was the foundation of what we did. And that's my foundation. So when I come in, it's the defense. My first summer with Leopold 2 summers ago, they had always been a zone school. We played man, and it was brutal. I'm not going to lie to you. It was awful. I mean, the ball would be on one side of the court, and the help side was over standing by
right by their guy.
Yeah. And then I would yell at one of the kids and say, "You got to help." Well, this is my man.
Right.
That wasn't my man. Oh, I know it wasn't your man. but I played. I knew my first year at Leopold, we weren't going to have a chance to win district. Richland was coming off 2 district championships. Yeah. They had the Hughes kid. Yeah. They had the Sanders kid. Yeah. You know, they had the Williams. They had a team over there.
Is Risco's not in your...
Risco was in the Southern District, so whoever won ours played Risco.
Okay.
So I knew going into it, I mean, I'm old enough and I've been around this game long enough that I knew that, you know, I might be able to pull one upset in a district. I was going to be the 4th seed no matter what. I was the 4th best team. I didn't think I could pull 2 of them off in 1 week. We didn't have that offensive firepower. So we spent the whole year straight up man. That's all we played. And, you know, I know Greg has went from a straight man guy to a zone guy, but his zone is not a zone. It's a man. It's got all the criteria of it and all the movement in it and the helps and if he's jumping, they're rotating and all that kind of stuff. And so people try to emulate that, but they can't. They don't emulate everything that Greg does in practice to make his successful.
That's the difference.
And so they're running a zone, and it's really just not a zone. It's a zone. It's not what the pressure type that with the rotations. So we just went man the whole year on everything. Every out of bounds, every under OB, we went man, and we built that foundation, and that's the key. Now, we do different stuff out of our man. That some of it is in different schemes is more of a we have straight up man where we're switching everything. We do the Wisconsin man where we're on the help line and we're in the gaps, which is more of a zone type principle, but it's our man. And so the first year we just built the foundation on that.
Yeah.
And then last year it just carried over into what helped us be successful and to win a district title.
Once you get that in, do you focus more on offense at some point, or how do you mesh the two?
I do the majority. If we have 100% in practice, 50% of every practice is going to be some type of defensive stuff. Now, we correlate that stuff. We might sit here and say, all right, we're going to do what we call ones, which is one-on-one from the elbow, one-on-one from the top of the key, one-on-one from a transition. And I might be focused on the defense, but one of my assistants is focused on their offense. You're working on your offense right now.
So you're
doing everything.
Okay.
But we emphasize the defense all the time. If you're going to win, here's what I've noticed in my career. When I started in this career, I would go see the really good coaches, see what they were doing, and go sit down and talk with them. I'd go work summer camps and want to sit up all night long talking to coaches. This guy's been successful. This guy's got 2 state championships. What do you do? And in every one of them I've always emulated, they always talked about their defense. Because, you can be a great offensive team. Your offense is not always going to be there. There's going to be nights you're not going to have. One thing that Corey Gibson always said, because Corey Gibson was a defensive coordinator before he became a head coach. He said, offense will come and go, but defense will always travel everywhere you go.
That's true. That's true.
And so, I then got into a program that the defense was the emphasis. But that's kind of what I've always been. Now, I used to be a gimmick coach. I would run 5 different defenses in the first half. We'd man you, we'd switch man you, we'd run a 1-3-1, we'd run a triangle and 2, and just to see what you struggled against the most. And then that's what I would run the most of the time in the second half. And then I kind of, about 10, 12 years ago as a head coach, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to stick to my fundamentals of man, and that's what we're doing. And that's kind of what I've done for the last probably 10 to 12 years.
Yeah.
Will I play some zone? Yeah. If you can't make adjustments as a coach, you're never going to be a great coach.
Right. You got to adjust at some point.
Yeah. And, I've played some zone, but I don't play much, and everybody knows it. I mean, if you're watching this podcast and you're going to play me this year, I'm playing you, man. They know that.
Well, it's like Greg Hollifield. Guess what's going to happen? 2-2-1 back into a 2-3 matchup. I mean, there's everybody's got YouTube. Everybody's got a computer. You can go watch about any high school game in the area just about on any given night. I mean, every school and COVID, some of the good things about COVID, just about every game is broadcast or out there for somebody to see it.
Even if it's on Huddle.
That's what I mean, right.
Yeah, you can find whatever now. There's no more secrets. There's no secrets anymore, which that's good, because then – the successful coaches, and we can use Greg, because I really respect Greg. My middle son played for him and loved him. Yep. My oldest son loved him, at school.
Yep.
But the successful ones, the truly successful coaches can adapt, but the difference is their kids play hard.
Yep.
They want to be there. One of the things that I've always said as a coach, I know when I've had a very good year is when the kids are not ready for the season to be over, and when you lose, they're crying in the locker room on the last game.
Yep.
Because the coaches that's got kids that can't wait for the season to end, you've lost them somewhere. Yep. And we got to look in the mirror and say, okay, what am I doing wrong that these kids are not hungry at the end of the season?
Yep.
A lot of that is load management. It's practice situations. Yep.
It's funny you said that. I mean, I hear that term like on the NBA, but Greg talks about it a lot. I mean, you get toward the end of the year, you can't. There's no need for a 3-hour practice.
No.
Or you just can't. I mean, the games they're wore out.
That's right.
Got to save their legs.
I do a lot of load management, but I've done that for years. There was a really successful coach over in Lockwood when I was at Dadeville. Dennis Cornish is his name. Had been there forever, won a ton of state titles, and it was one of those small schools that won football, won basketball, and baseball. So he always got his kids. They'd go to the football playoffs every year.
So you're getting them right at the beginning of this.
And he was always pretty good. And so I played against him. He's one of the guys that I struggled to beat. You're competitive with him. So when I left, came down here, and when I went to St. Dominic, I called Dennis and I said, hey, can I come talk with you someday? And went down and sat down with him, and he started talking about how he got his kids late and load management. Here's what I did in practices. Here's what you can't practice 2 hours. I've got a good friend that I went to college with that was a great high school basketball coach. Might have more knowledge than I ever thought about coaching, but he practiced 3 hours a day until Christmas, every day that he had practice. And after Christmas, he said, I'm cutting it down to 2:15. His kids couldn't wait till the season was over.
Yeah.
They were wore out.
Yeah.
I started, after talking to Dennis Cornish, I started going after Christmas an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And that includes shooting.
Wow.
And by February, I'm doing an hour and 15 minutes on the court. Now, we might be on the court for an hour and 45 minutes and going through shooting drills.
Right.
Kids don't think that's practice.
No, or even going over out of bounds plays and stuff like that. That's right.
Yeah. Kids don't think when you're shooting in practice is practice. They're shooting.
Right.
I talked to a coach one time and at a clinic, and he made a comment during the clinic. And this is where I say, this is my biggest attribute of why I feel like I've had some success. He said, if you put a basketball on the court and you send your kids out one at a time, he said, what are they going to do?
Oh, go pick up a ball and shoot.
They're going to pick it up and shoot it. He said, ain't none of them's going to go out there and guard it.
No.
He said the coaches that can get them to guard it are the ones that's going to win at the end of the year. He said, because every one of them will go out there and shoot it. He said, you don't even have to have them do that. The good ones are going to make sure they shoot. They're going to make sure they get in the gym and get shots up, or they're going to stay after practice or get shots up or before school. He said, the ones if you can get 5 to get out there and guard it, he said, you're going to win.
Wow.
And that stuck with me all these years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I've wrapped, And, all of Greg's success, if you really sat down with him from the get-go, his defense has always been very good in the foundation. Yep. Even in the days when they weren't winning, he was playing man, but he was strapping up against Tyler Hansborough with a 6'4" kid and making it tough for Tyler Hansborough to score.
Yep.
Because the foundation has always been that defense, and the foundation is still there. They might put 95 points on you, but they got 45 of them from their defense.
That's right. That's exactly right. We talk about that. His offense a lot of times is predicated on his defense. Yeah. There's no question.
And so that's what we do. Now, I'll sit over there with the play sheet and have all these pretty little things on it. But here's what I've always told my kids. The more you work on defense, the more freedom I'll give you on offense. The better we play defense, the more freedom you have on offense. And do we run some structure stuff? Yes, we do. Of course. Yeah. Everybody does. Yeah. But we also give them freedom because, and you know what? They know when they're not getting enough freedom, what's causing it. It's the other end of the court that's causing that.
That's right.
So,
so how have you changed, like when you started at Dadeville to today? What does Jimmy look like then versus now? Probably a lot less crazy.
Oh, a lot less hair, a lot less crazy.
Okay, obviously, yeah.
In those days, I mean, here was the thing. I think at some point I pushed him too hard. We pushed him in the summer too hard. Oh. I pushed him in the off season too hard. For example, in those olden days, we get in that gym and we'd grind it out. We're having open gym, and the open gym, I'm sitting over there watching him in open gym, and I'm getting mad at him for not guarding hard enough, or this or that. I think I've relaxed. I think I've learned how to manage the kids a lot better. The load management thing is, when I first started, you go to what you're used to. Yep. Is 2 hours and 20 minutes every day. Yep. We're doing 2 hours and 20 minutes on a Wednesday, the day after a hard game on Tuesday night. And then you're mad at them because you're grinding on them and they're tired and they don't have their legs underneath them. And, they got home from the ball game and had a science test the next day or whatever. I just didn't think that way.
Yep.
My Wednesday practices for the last 10 years is a lot different. We might go an hour and 15 minutes and we might do, 40 minutes of defensive stuff, but it's more of an offensive fun stuff that they're doing against the defensive stuff. And then you're getting them out of there. I've learned from the college ranks, we do a lot of film session stuff. We break down stuff. Yeah, we have huddle. And, that was one of the things when I interviewed at Leopold, they didn't have huddle. And I said, we need a huddle. And so, we do clips now.
What was the thing Lane talked about? What was
college, college one?
What's that? Crap. We had Lane on here, and he was telling us about this thing. It breaks down.
It breaks everything down.
Yeah,
to a T.
Yeah, he said next morning you wake up and it's done. I can't remember it.
Yeah, and the college is it breaks down every player, how good they are offensively, what their rating is, and if you watch a college basketball game, and of course they have 1,700 commercial timeouts, after the 16 and the 12 and the 8 and the 4 and all the way down.
Regular timeouts.
Here's what's crazy: when they put that in, then all of a sudden, Mike Krzyzewski at Duke could win a state or a national championship with 6 players because he didn't have to have a bench.
Yeah.
You get a timeout every 4 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, all of a sudden, every one of those timeouts, you're getting a sheet and you're just looking at everything that has happened in the game.
Oh, really?
So those
the
coaches,
iPads.
but the coaches, you're getting a sheet from the scorer's table and it's all broke down. One of the things that Corey always, that he taught me, the first time we leave Texas Tech that night, and I always sat right behind him. That's, Corey had a seating chart for the bus. He had a seating chart for where you sat in the locker room for film set. I mean,
well, that's good. It's structured.
We're very structured. So after the first game, I'm on the bus and I always sit in the seat right behind him, and he calls me up and he goes, well, what'd you think about that? And I go, 17,000 people at Texas Tech. That's pretty impressive. It's just the different. He goes, on those play sheets, he goes, what did you look at? I said, well, I'm looking at rebounds and I'm looking at turnovers and all that. He said, I'm looking at one line. How many fouls did DeMarcus Sharp draw against Texas Tech? Because they have that on that play sheet. How many fouls? Isaac Haney played for us, who played, he started at Dora, won a state championship.
Yeah. Was he one of the triplets or whatever?
Yeah, no.
Oh, different one.
He was with the triplets.
Okay.
But then he went to Kickapoo.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So you're looking at that and going, wow, DeMarcus Sharp drew 6 fouls that game against the opponent. Isaac Haney drew 5 fouls.
So they fouled him 6 times.
Yeah,
okay.
he got fouled 6 times.
Yeah.
And so then you start thinking about that, and that's how you rate your players. Let's go to DeMarcus Sharp. DeMarcus Sharp was probably not even the best player on the Charleston team.
He was a good one, but
he was good.
Yeah.
Was he the best?
Did he play?
I'm trying
with,
to think who else
did he
was
play
there.
with Delfinco?
Yeah, he was in that group.
Ooh.
Okay,
Delfinco was something.
but in college,
He's different.
I've
He
never
went next level. I mean,
I've never seen a kid work so hard in my life on his shot, on his game. His work ethic was unbelievable. When we would go to a game, you get there 2.5 hours for the game. I mean, if we got a 7:00 start, we're there at 4:30.
Yeah.
You could get on the court at 5:00.
Oh.
DeMarcus would be on the court 1 hour working on his game, so much that sweat was dripping off of him that he would come in and take a shower before he'd put his uniform on to get ready to go play.
Jeez.
It was amazing. It was amazing to watch DeMarcus work. Jamonte Black, who was from Columbia at Rockbridge, went to Missouri State. He followed us to Northwestern and then to Austin Peay. He was one of the top 5 3-point shooters in the country his senior year at Austin Peay.
Wow.
He just shot and shot and shot and shot. And he would shoot after practice. He had to make 53s before he left, okay, from spots. But he didn't count the 3 if it hit the rim.
Holy crap.
That's why he's over in Europe playing ball. And that's why DeMarcus last year was with the Trailblazers for a short stint.
Yeah. Because
of the work ethic that they've put in. And you don't understand that at the high school level. I've had kids and I've went against some great players and all that. But it's just the work ethic, the workers. I've got a kid up there at Leopold, Tommy Beesink will be a senior this year. When I got there, he was going to be a sophomore, and he was about 6 foot tall. He's a little over 6'1" now, and he still had that sophomore-ish body. He worked his tail off. He got in the weight room. He shoots that he's got in the gym and works and works and works. He's going to go play at the next level, but he made himself that.
Right.
It's not like God gifted him at 6'9" and could jump out of the gym.
Right.
Tommy has made himself. And so that's where I feel as I'm a coach, I've got to work that hard, and those are how those players are. And I think that's what's helped me have some of my success. You're going to see me out. We've got Huddle, and we can get on YouTube, and I can sit there and watch games. I want to go to the gym and watch my opponents. There's something about seeing them live.
I just get ready to ask you that. I've had that discussion with other coaches, and they say, well, you don't have to go to the gyms anymore and whatever. But it's different, though, I guess, right? Seeing them play versus on the film.
And when I say this, there's no secrets to what I do.
Right.
Last year, I felt like our team had an opportunity to win districts. Delta was by far the favorite. Bell City was pretty good until the Richardson kid got hurt, and then they kind of dropped down. We had lost to Bell City and Delta both twice last year. Delta beat us the Friday before the Christmas break, and then we played them in the first round of the Christmas tournament. They beat us 17-15. And, the 17-point game got to 22-23, and it ended at 17. The 15-point game that we played them, we made some adjustments, and it was 4 with about 5 or 6 minutes left in the game and got to 15.
That's a different game, man.
I went and watched them the last week of the season before districts, and I went to go watch them live. I got every tape on YouTube. You can go watch them. You can go find them. But I wanted to watch them live, and I watched a half and got in the car and left and told my assistant, I said, we're going to beat them next week in the district championship game. I felt that after watching them. I believe you got to go see them live. You got to watch what's going on. You watch body language. You see, just the difference in them. And what I noticed, they weren't as fresh. They played that up-tempo. Toby does a great job, but it's full court, press, get up and down the court. Well, the legs were a little bit different in February than they are in December.
That's right.
And I just felt like that we could beat them.
Yeah.
And so, I think going to the gyms, my wife's used to it.
Yeah.
My boys would get in the car with me, and my middle one, Joe, would beg, Dad, can I go? I gotta go. He'd go to the games, and I'd get my program so I could ride on it, and he'd ride on it. And before we got out of the parking lot driving home, he's sound asleep in the back seat of the car. And Clay was the same way. But I believe as coaches, here's the thing that I will always say. If there's only 20 contact days in the summer, which there is, the coaches that only do 10, you're going to beat them in the regular. Because some coaches don't want to work hard.
Yeah.
It's not a passion to them.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that makes a difference in the coaching world.
Totally agree. Yeah, if you don't use all those.
Talking about, going back to DeMarcus Sharp, Jeremy Tucker was probably considered the better player.
Yeah. But DeMarcus just has a work ethic.
He's what, 6'4", 5"?
Maybe.
If
6'3".
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, he's a player, of course.
Yeah, 6'3", $175 maybe.
Oh, really?
Maybe 180.
He never did really get bulk.
No.
Looking at all your journey and your wins and all that stuff, is there something that what's the thing you're proudest of that really is not on your resume, so to speak? Like if wins and stuff like that, I know those show up. Is there something that is it your longevity? Is it being able to take your philosophy from team to team and have success?
Well, the relationships.
I knew that's where he was going to go.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Relationships, you have relationships with kids for long term.
Yeah.
Every coach will say you don't have favorites. You do.
Sure you do.
That's like saying you don't have a favorite kid.
Yeah. Somebody once said to me, do you have favorites? I had a parent come to me one time, and I don't have a lot of parent problems. I try to talk to them. I tell the parents in a meeting, hey, if you ever have an issue, here's my cell phone, call me.
Yep.
Communication helps a lot of things.
Yep.
It takes away a lot of problems. Here's what I'm seeing, here's what I'm not seeing. I had a parent one time ask me, do you have favorites? I said, yeah, I do. And they go, really? And I go, yeah. I said, that All-Stater that scores 25 points a night, I hate to tell you that might be my favorite. I said, it's nothing against your kid. But that, Sharon Cole that's scoring 25 a night, he might be my favorite right now.
Greg always says if you're 6'8" in high school, you can get away with some, not acting the best on the bus, but if you're 5'10" and don't play much, you better be really good bus rider.
That's right.
You better be on there on time, not messing around.
that 5'10" kid better not have a teacher come to me and say, "Hey, he's not turning in his homework."
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. I've heard coaches say, "Yes, I've got favorites." The ones that show up and work hard, besides what you're talking about, of course, but work hard. They work hard in practice where nobody sees that. That's typically what I haven't coached, but where I understand the parents only see, little Bobby's not getting to play. Well, you know what? These past 2 weeks, he hasn't done anything in practice.
Right.
He's not working hard. That's why he's not playing.
I've often said, like somebody complain about my kid not playing. I'm like, your kid needs to make him not be able to not be played.
That's right. Make him to where he can't take you out.
I'm going to say this because, I've also worked in a business, and we have favorites, and I'll say this, I'll give a shout out. Jeff Limbaugh is one of my favorites. You know why? Because at 5:30 every night, he's passing out dinner trays at his nursing home where the other half of the administrators have already went home at 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And Jeff Limbaugh knows every person in the building, knows every resident and every one of his workers. So when you say you don't have favorites, you're crazy. Every one of us do. Yeah. I promise you, at your bank, you got somebody there that works their tail off, and you don't ever have to worry about anything. That's part of life.
Yeah,
and that's what I've wanted to be as a coach. I'm going to try to outwork everybody. Mm-hmm. That's my goal. And the relationships I've had, probably maybe 10, 15 kids that's come and worked for me somewhere along the line.
Oh, really?
Worked in the business. Worked in the nursing homes, become administrators. Jared and I one time, she's had some businesses, and we had an athletic, Central Missouri Athletics. We had that in mid-Missouri. I had 2 of my ex-players in there working it, that played for me. So, that's what's neat. I've had players call me up. I had one
looking
night
for advice. That's awesome. Yeah.
Coach, what do you think about this? What do you do about this? I had a player call me not too long ago, one of the girls that played for me.
Oh, wow.
That got engaged a year ago. She had, she wanted to call me. I said, well, y'all been dating since you were a junior in high school. What took so long?
Right.
Those are the things that makes you feel good,
Yeah.
I know last year at Leopold, when we won districts, the 2 kids that were seniors the year before were grabbing and hugging my neck before I could get to the locker room after we got, before we even went in the locker room.
They were a part of that, though.
They were. They're part of the family,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We said that this year when Vianney.
Oh, yeah. When Sikeston beat Vianney, there was
probably
a dozen or more former players at the game.
A lot of them. A lot of them were all the way back, but then there was some that were right, 2 or 3 years out of high school.
Kevin can coach too.
Oh, the Vianney coach? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Walsh.
Yeah.
Well,
he can coach.
He can. Will Hollifield he's got his doctorate and did something and used him. He went and interviewed him for, I don't know if it was his dissertation. I can't remember what it was, but he did a whole thing on his coaching.
Yeah.
Well, that guy can flat coach. There's no doubt.
Here's my story with him. When I was at Eldon, our tournament, they've had a tournament there. It's one of the longest tournaments they ever had.
Yeah.
West of the Mississippi, and it was falling apart. So we got some sponsors and brought in some teams, and Marquette came. They had a former Eldon kid coaching it, and then Vianney came the first year to get it going, and he allowed me. We got beat in the semifinals, and we're playing for 3rd place. Well, Vianney won the tournament, but he let me come watch his practice the day that they were preparing for the championship game and sat in the film room. And I thought, wow, I'm not a very good coach, because you just learn from these guys. And by that time, I'd already had won, 3 or 4 district titles, maybe 6. And, went in there and sat down with him and just watched what he did with his kids. And it just, that's how you learn the game.
Yeah.
That's, there's not a coach in Southeast Missouri. It doesn't matter if your team won 4 games last year or won the state championship last year. you can still learn from everybody coaching because everybody does something a little bit different.
Yep.
And as a coach, if you're not doing that, then you're eventually you're not going to win no more. You're going to get yourself beat because once you stop learning, you're done. In my opinion.
No, I agree with you. I've heard we had Chad on here. We had Chad Allen on a few weeks ago. We talked with Lane. We've had Greg. We've had lots of coaches on here, and they've almost all said the same thing, that you have to continue to learn. And because, basketball, like you said, it's the same, but it is different. Mm-hmm. I mean, now the 3-point line and the way you approach things and the defenses and all of that is the same, but it's different.
Right.
And so you have to continue with
that. And the 3-point line, and let me say something about Chad. Last year, Chad calls me up about Woodland because I play Woodland early, play them in their tournament usually, and then we play them in a regular season game the next week. So he wanted a scouting report. And so, he sent something and I sent him some stuff, and then I asked him, I said, hey, I need something on Bloomfield. So he sends me something and I'm like, Chad, what are you running here? I like this set play. And that's what good coaches do. He goes, Jimmy, let me send it to you, and just send it to me.
I've heard guys say
it sounds like the coaching fraternity is like
you're stealing most of the stuff you run.
Oh yeah.
And you enjoy, and like most of them want to give back to the other ones. I mean,
they do.
There's, when I started, everybody was like that. Us coaches did stuff together and all that. Now it has changed a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like it used to be. There's some guys out there that this is what they do. They, that's it. They don't talk too much, and that's how it is. But, the game has changed. And, you talk about the 3-point line. I changed when I went to Russellville in the late 90s. I started shooting. Now, I had 2 big 6'5" kids, and both of them went and played college basketball. But we shot a lot of threes because analytics is that way now.
Yep.
And my teams now, I'm going to shoot the 3. I'm going to shoot a bunch of threes, and I'm going to shoot 5-footers.
Right.
That mid-range game, now I've got a couple kids that can do it. The B-Sync boy can do it, and he likes that mid-range 12 to 14-footer. Or, get to the paint, 2 feet, and go up and shoot it. The 3-point line has changed the game of basketball.
No question.
A lot of analytics is layups and threes and nothing in between. And, we do a lot of that. I'm big into analytics. I break down numbers. Our huddle breaks down numbers for our kids, and they have their numbers after every game.
Oh, really?
So does that open up the middle? I know analytics is saying you shoot the 3 or the layup, but does that open up that mid-range game?
The mid-range game is there.
Yeah.
Here's the one thing that the game of basketball's changed in my whole career. A lot of coaches play a lot of zone now. There's a lot of zone. And I know that
dribble, drive, penetration, and kick has changed. That's why they've changed to it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Calipari started the dribble, drive, penetration, and kick at Memphis years ago. And I went to that. I loved that.
Yeah.
That's when I say I give my kids freedom. They have freedom to do that. And we still do that. And to your point, yes, the dribble drive is there a lot. Now, when I first started, I had a man offense and a zone offense versus a 2-3 and a zone offense versus a 1-3-1 and the 1-2. You had all that stuff. I run an offense now. I've got a man offense that I can run against anything that we do. We cut up a zone. We hide low it out of a 2-3 zone like everybody does and put somebody on the nail and do from that. But we also run a lot of our man stuff against any zone.
Yep.
And so our kids are used. It doesn't matter. We don't. In the olden days, you'd dribble down and they'd be in the zone and you'd back your point guard out and they'd get in their offense. And then the next time they come down and it's a different zone and you back out and the coach jumps up and he yells this. We don't do as that much anymore. We're pushing and kind of reading what we're doing. And I think that's where the game has changed because a lot of coaches, here's my opinion. If all you do is set in a zone and you don't run and jump and you don't trap, Well, what are you going to do if you're down 8 points with 4 minutes in the district championship and you've never played man, and they get out there and say, all right, we're going to put this ball underneath this shoulder and we're going to hold it and make you play man. You can't do it then.
Right.
You're going to get backdoor cut. Yep. You're going to get slip cut to death. Yep. And so that's where I've always been kind of a man guy because of that.
Yeah, interesting.
So
because you can always go play a zone, but if you'd always play zone,
you can't go play man.
No, it's not. It's not like you said. It's not like we're playing at school and everybody plays man, because what happens inevitably. Well, I'm guarding my guy. I didn't give up a bucket.
That's right.
Well, I know you are, but
you got to help.
You got to go.
You got to help.
2 feet in the paint. You got to go help. If the ball's on that side, why are you guarding him? He's not doing anything.
That's right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So.
And then you got to learn rotations.
Right.
Everybody, if you're a solid coach, a good coach, it's not the first rotation on the dribble drive. Mm-hmm. That's the easy one. It's the second and third rotation. Yep. It's the man that's got 2 that knows to go take away and run that guy off the 3-point line, and then the rotation's coming from another spot.
Yep.
Those are the good coaches out there.
Yep.
Those are the ones doing their job.
That's why you got the basketball going side to side, trying to get the defense to rotate and find a gap.
That's right.
That's right. That's exactly. But that makes that 24-second shot clock in the NBA. That makes defense, in my opinion, a little bit easier because you're just guarding for that amount of time. The 30-second or 35-second is a little more difficult, but no shot clock is when it really becomes difficult.
That's right. And this year we went to the shot clock at the SEMO Christmas tournament.
Yep, we did in the conference tournament too. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
There was 7 possessions, I heard. That was it. Now, that's just what somebody told me, of shot clock violations.
Yeah. There were...
I think I had 2 of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think I had 2 of them.
I think Charlton had a couple in a game I watched on there.
Yeah.
I think they...
Well, there wasn't many.
Well, they forced a couple of them.
Yeah.
Like that.
And, coaching with Corey, we had a defense called Shark 3. Shark 3. Okay? And it was a zone. And then at a certain point, we went man. Because, you get in college, we would get in a box, a 2-2-1. We would just, keep the ball in front of us. Our whole goal was to get it in the 28, 29, 27. If you got it down to 27 seconds for them to cross half court, in the shot clock. Yeah. So we would do that, and then we'd set in a zone, and then at about the 12 or 13 second mark, we went straight up man. And we just matched up with whoever was with us.
Oh, okay. Even if you had a mismatch or whatever?
It didn't matter. And when I play some of my defenses, my 5'9" point guard's going to get on a 6'3" or 4 guy, and I don't care. We're fronting the post, and you better do it, and backside better be there. And you're going to get beat sometimes with that. Yeah. But if that's what if they know they're going to do that all the time, but we did that at college just to try to get people out of the rhythm.
Yep.
To do something different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, that's the game. That's coaching the game. The shot clock's coming to a high school ball. I don't know if I'm going to see it in my career, but it's coming.
We talked about that last week. And
it's coming.
Yeah. Joe Bill said he didn't like it. He said that he
more work.
Well, he thinks it gives the team that's more athletic
an advantage.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
It does.
It does. He's right. Where teams like Princeton, and he was just going to college. Princeton, they sit there and hold that thing, and you come out and guard them, and they're going to run an offense where maybe 2 minutes, but they're going to get a layup. Right. They're going to backdoor somebody or slip cut somebody, and they're going to get a layup.
I'm going to tell you what's crazy. Pete Carell, who was at Princeton.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I watched the UCLA game where they backdoor cut them all night long. His stuff is still the most popular stuff right now. Oh, yeah. The chin action, the over action, the under action, that stuff that they're running is people are running Pete Carell stuff that he did at Princeton years ago. Yep. And he never got the credit. Well, he did get the credit.
But toward the end of his career.
Yeah, but he's at an Ivy League school.
Certainly not a basketball powerhouse.
No, getting kids that are Ivy League kids in those days.
Right.
Not the well, you can take 12, Right. They're taking Ivy League kids and competing with an offense that was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
And, Lanny Acuff down at Lipscomb, who is now at Alabama Huntsville, he runs a what they call a 5-out elbow series that he got from Princeton that he's kind of perfected a little bit. And I can tell you this, with Corey down there at Austin Peay, we couldn't keep him under 90 points.
Oh, my gosh.
They read it so well. It was unbelievable.
Because it's a lot of reads.
It's a lot of reads.
Yeah.
And so the game has changed. And a lot of this stuff, it goes back. The old school stuff still works.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. How many people know Karl Malone and John Stockton running the pick and roll? And now, if you're going to watch a college basketball game, they're picking and rolling 90 times a game.
You know what? I'll quote Greg Hollifield on this. Do you know why they run the pick and roll, especially in the NBA and now college, about every possession? Because you can't stop it.
You can't.
It is ridiculously difficult to stop. Mm-hmm. That's why they run it.
And that's old school basketball.
Yes, it is.
That everybody got away from with the success of John Calipari and Nolan Richardson at Arkansas. Yeah. They all got away from it, but it's back. Yeah. The Nolan Richardson's team at Arkansas that he won a national championship, he could have walked the ball down the court and held it for 45 seconds with those studs that he had and won the national championship.
Corliss Williamson, Scotty Thurman, that crew. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's right. So, the game... The fundamentals of the game hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so much. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on my computer a week ago going through some Princeton stuff that I want to put in. I'm putting in some different stuff just because I see people doing it and I think I can do that. Yeah. And so, that's what makes coaches successful. Everything you're doing in business has changed.
Yep.
You go now, and we used to pick up hay in the fields with a square bale. It's not that way anymore. Everything has changed, and everything's for the better. But still, the old school stuff still works.
That's right. That's interesting. I hadn't even thought about the Pete Carell for quite a while, but yeah, that's quite a legacy he left there.
Oh.
Just hard to guard. It's not hard to guard like you said once or twice. It's hard to guard on that fifth time.
Yeah.
When the guy turns
Everybody
his head.
Knows the maneuvering.
Well, yeah. That one guy turned his head and that guy back cut him and it's over.
Here's the thing with Pete Carell. You only had to have one kid make a mistake one time and they took advantage of it.
That's what I'm saying. That one kid.
One time.
Guarded it perfect 5 times.
Yep.
And one guy turned his head because he wasn't paying attention or whatever.
Stubs his toe on the floor or whatever.
Right.
And then it's a layup, and then all of a sudden you're down 6 to that team with 2 minutes. I don't know how you catch them.
That's right.
Because you have to foul them.
That's right.
That's obviously, because they're going to hold it.
Yeah. And I think it's coming to high school. I really do.
Yeah.
And
we've talked about that too.
I'll be honest with you. My team, not last year's team, but my first year at Leopold, with the shot clock, I'd have went from 17 wins to about 12, honestly. Because, heck, there was times if we were up 1 to 2 points, we were shutting it down.
Yeah.
And, when we did beat Delta this year in the district championship game, we went 17 for 18 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter.
What do they say? Free throws only count in close games and championships.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Other than that, they don't really matter.
They sure don't.
Holy cow, 17 of 18? Mm-hmm. That'll get it done.
Yep.
That will get it done.
It did. And I had enough confidence in about the last 4 minutes. Toby had done a great job. He had all 5 of his timeouts. And I think we were up 8 with about 4 minutes left, and I said, fellas, don't foul them. They're going to start burning timeouts, and I had enough confidence in our kids that we were going to hit our free throws. Not that we just gave them layups, but we weren't going to foul them and give them a 3-point play or let the clock stop.
Oh, yeah.
We made him use his timeouts. And fortunately for us, when he called his last timeout, there was probably a minute 40 left in the ball game, and we were up 3, and we went and hit the 2 free throws and put us up 5. And I thought, they're not catching us now. They can't stop the clock.
Right.
They have to score,
or foul you,
or foul us. So
wow,
yeah.
How much you end up winning by?
I think we won by 16.
Oh, yeah. Just hit a lot of free throws.
Yeah, and then they were down 8 with 35, 40 seconds left, and went to the basket and didn't score, and fouled us, and then a kid got a technical, and so
frustrated.
Frustration, technical. He was his fifth, and then said something, and so all of a sudden it goes from 8, and then they got another technical, left the gym, and so we shot 6 free throws in a row.
Oh, jeez. Oh, okay.
So the score, I think it was 76-62.
Oh, okay.
But with 6 minutes left, it was 48-45.
Right. Yeah.
So it looks like it was a lot, but it didn't. No. It was one of those situations that it spread out at the end of the ball game.
Yeah.
And as coaches, we sit there and I've been on the other side before where you man, it was 7 points, and now we end up losing by 18 because I kept fouling and couldn't hit a 3, and so it looks like it's an 18-point game.
Right.
But, that's just part of it.
That's right. We didn't even. I told you we wouldn't have to cover these. I was sitting there just looking at them a while ago, and we've went over about everything. Well, plus some, obviously. Yeah. We're 2 hours in. Thank you.
Oh, really? I will say this: you did on one of the questions. You said the best Sikeston player.
Yeah, that's one of them. We're headed to the lightning round, which is what I put. Tell me. Go ahead. You can address it.
Mike Sales.
I swear I thought of that today. I was like, I know exactly who he's going to tell me.
I'm going to tell you something. I watched him play. My dad
was he older than you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in 8th grade when he was a senior, and 8th or 7th. I remember Sikeston was still in the Bloomfield Christmas tournament, and Sikeston was playing Bell City in the semifinal. Now, Bell City had a Henry kid. They had a Ritter kid. Yeah. They went to the Final Four that year and got 3rd in the state. That was one of their better years before David got up there and won some state titles. Mm-hmm. But I watched them play Sikeston, and my dad and Sikeston beat them 106-102. Wow. No overtime, no 3-point line. And Mike Sales put up 40-something. And I'm one of the few in the gym rooting for Sikeston because, everybody at Bloomfield's rooting for the small school to beat the big school.
Right.
And I was sitting there and fell in love watching Mike Sales. It was just, he would come down at 15 feet and pull up. And I don't know if he hit the rim that night.
Wow.
And I'll never forget that night. Talking to where I got the love for basketball, my dad in 5th grade would take me, started in 5th grade, take me to the Bloomfield Christmas tournament, drop me off, gave me a $5 bill. He went to work, and he said, don't leave the gym. And I would watch games all day long.
Yeah.
The sodas was a quarter.
Yeah.
Popcorn was a quarter. You got a candy bar for 50 cents. And I knew I just had to wait till about 6 o'clock. Dad would be back watching the last couple games with me to get more money. And he took me up there from my 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and I would just go sit there all day long.
I still do that now. I'll go watch basketball. I'll go do that.
And I fell in love with the game. I can tell you some great games. I watched Richland almost beat Lex Drum at Poplar Bluff in the championship game when they had Glenn Cole and Sims and Clark and that bunch. And Phil Ledbetter was on that team. And if Glenn Cole hadn't have fouled out, they'd have beat Poplar Bluff in the championship game. And
jeez.
I watched Lesterville with Dimbo Kid hit the 3-quarter shot to beat Matthews in a sectional game there. You want to talk about a great gym that I have memories with. Yeah. There's nothing better than that Bloomfield gym.
It's usually most people that we ask that. And
we talk about that, and they'll say, I agree. What a great gym to watch a game in. I never played there, but it's got to be just as good to play there.
Oh, it's a great atmosphere. Great.
You were coaching at Charleston. Y'all had a couple district tournaments over there, didn't you?
Yep. One of my Richland team that went to state, we played Dexter in the quarterfinals. We were the 8th seed, and they were the number 1 seed. Dexter was ranked number 1 in the state. Had the Hale kid,
Oh, yeah.
and the other really good one. They had some good players.
There was a Geatley.
There was a Geatley on that team, but they were number one in the state.
Yeah, yeah.
And my Richland team, of course, Paul played that matchup zone and was excellent at it. They could match and had the rover. And I'll never forget, I went to school that day, went through a walkthrough at Richland before we went, and I said, here's what we're going to do. You all act like you're on the playground and play. Come down. I don't care where you go. I don't care what you do. I said, match up, cut through it, everybody cut. We were down 17 at halftime. I went downstairs in the locker room in the Dexter section. They already got the keys out. Start the bus. Sharon Cole, we were down 92 to 91, and Sharon missed a 15-footer with about 31 seconds left, and they went down and hit a three. But you can never get Jeff Limbaugh on this podcast. We got beat. We got beat 98-94. Okay, and that's the year that I knew we were going to have a chance to win districts. And we were the 3 seed that year with Advance 1 and Oran 2. And we won districts handily. But that night, our goal, because we had scouted Paul, and Dexter was undefeated.
Yeah,
that's the year
good.
That they were, New Madrid got them.
I just getting ready to say.
Tipper boys got them.
Yep.
But I remember that Jeff Limbaugh said one thing to me when Paul Hale called his 5th timeout in the 4th quarter. He had went the first 7 games of the year that year and hadn't called a timeout, and we got him to call 5 in one game. So it was a victory for us no matter what. And I see Paul now, and I'll say, Paul, I made you call 5 timeouts. He'll say, I still won. And I go, yes, you did, but you had to use your timeouts. And as coaches, that's the little things that we think about.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something I do that people think is crazy. I have one of my managers will sit outside the gym and will tell me when the other school comes out to get for warm-ups after halftime. I think it's an indication of what's going on. This year in the district championship game, when I say this, it doesn't mean anything. Delta came out 48 seconds after they went in the locker room.
They weren't in the locker room very long.
No.
Man.
We were down 1 at halftime. Now, did that mean anything? To me, it meant
they were overconfident maybe.
They're not making adjustments.
Yeah.
I'm staying in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's how. So I always have junior high kids that play basketball. They come to practice, and then they're the managers. Of course, they're in the pictures because that's how you build your program.
Just going to say, that's how you do it. That's exactly right.
So one of them gets the watch them and come and tell me when they come out of the locker room. Now there's a lot of times that I beat them out, but there's also times, and it's just some little thing that I read someplace probably 20 years ago.
Their body language coming out of the locker room tells a lot too.
Yeah, yeah.
If they're dragging out and walking out,
I mean, if they're late coming out, they really feel like they got a problem too.
That's right. There's a lot of ways to read that.
That's exactly.
I've always tried to read it positive too on my side.
They went in there and they changed everything.
I don't know if this is true, but I've often heard that like when you're going into the locker into the halftime 1 down, you're probably more likely to win than the other team.
Well, it depends on how far you're down.
I'm talking about by 1. Like,
by 1. There's a lot of things, psychologically.
Oh, for sure.
What I have learned as a coach,
part-time psychologist.
Well, what I've learned as a coach, your kids read you.
Oh, for sure.
There's times that I'm nervous as a coach that I don't want them to see it. So if we get to the gym at 5 o'clock for a 6 o'clock start, I'll sit in my office so they don't see me because I don't want them to go, Coach is nervous. Because you can't hide your feelings. Some people can, and they're very successful. Yep. I'm not one that can hide it. You can tell.
It's on your face. True.
But then it's important for you to do that every time.
Yes and no.
Like routine. I mean, like if they see you, I guess maybe if you don't keep a routine, then
I don't have one. So they don't. I'll tell you something that's really cool that happened only at Leopold. we have for a home game, we will have our kids there. We'll start a walkthrough at 5:00, usually with the varsity. And what we're usually going through is with the other team's offensive stuff, before they get there. Most schools get there, 45 minutes before.
Yep.
Well, we have some fans, grandparents that are fans, that one time my first year, they liked specific seats they sit in. And when you got a gym that seats 350, you better get there. Well, her and her son and her granddaughters got there one night, and she sits on the first row right across from my bench, and we're going through a walkthrough. And I mean, she's into it. Since then, every year, every game last year, she's there for the walkthrough. She liked it. And I love it. And
absolutely.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah. Absolutely. At that point, it is.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the lightning round. Best player you ever coached?
Travis Edwards or Joe Lincoln? Seriously.
Really?
Yeah.
Travis Edwards. Where'd you coach him?
At Russellville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He one of the better players, but he was such a team leader. He is probably the only kid I ever coached that hated to lose as much as I did. And he was a winner. Yeah. He also he is the only player that I have ever coached. They got, they get their pictures in their uniforms, and that's part of their senior picture package. My wife has his picture in a frame, and she's always had it in our house. It was her favorite player of all time.
Wow.
Her probably more than Joe.
What is the best team you've ever coached?
High school?
You choose.
Well, yeah, high school. Yeah. It would either be the Russellville 96-97 team or the Tipton team of Joe 06-07. Those were probably my two best teams.
Okay.
The Russellville team was the second best team in the state. We lost to Pembroke Hill and the Rush brothers, Jerron and Kareem Rush.
Wow.
They were the only, they were the best team in the state. Uh-huh. They beat us. We played them in the regular season that year to, try to get ready for them. We were ranked number 2 in the state. They were number 1 in the state. There was 14 dunks in the game. We had 1. Jerron had 10,
Oh my God.
And I'm going to tell you, everybody remembers Kareem because he went to Mizzou and then played in the NBA. He didn't hold a candle to Jerron. Jerron was the number 3 ranked kid in the nation his senior year and went to UCLA.
UCLA, yeah.
I'll say one of them went to UCLA. Yeah.
And he was phenomenal. He was the best high school player I've ever coached against in my life.
Well, that was one of the questions.
Just by far. And that team beat us in a sectional game, and we were down 2 shooting a free throw with a minute and a half left in the game. They beat East Carter. Now, they got their titles stripped because of recruiting. Yeah. But they beat East Carter. Now, East Carter holds that state title because they stripped, but Pembroke Hill beat them by 49 points in the championship game. It was like 89-40 or 50. Yeah.
Ooh.
So they were that good.
Yeah.
They had Jerron and Kareem. They had Sean Dunson that played at Northern Iowa. Then they had a 6'9" white kid, the Gant kid. His dad was the one that got them all to come there. That's the family that owns Hallmark out of Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jerron and them were the best team I ever played against.
Jeez. I remember them. I remember when they played.
I watched Jerron his sophomore year. I played him his junior and senior year. I went to the Final Four and watched them play Cardinal Ritter. And Cardinal Ritter had, their
really
stud
good
teams.
Players. Oh, yeah.
Wood and Carawell and that bunch.
Yeah.
And I watched Jerron score 52 against him as a sophomore. And they got beat in the semifinals. And my dad and I sat there, and I said, Dad, that's who I got to get through next year to go to state. My dad's like, you'll never beat them. Thanks, Dad.
He's just keeping it real with you.
Yeah. And we didn't, but we got close.
Yes, you did. Who was the toughest opposing player you've had to prepare for? Probably Rush.
Probably Drawn.
Yeah.
Drawn could do things. He could shoot the three and get to the basket.
Supremely athletic.
Very.
Yeah.
And never, probably one of the most well-respected, from my standpoint. He never hit a three and put his hands up. He never dunked it. He never showed any emotion. Was just, very good. When he went through the line, they beat us 3 times. They beat us twice in the state tournament and then that one regular season game we played. Very respectful. One of the best kids I've ever coached against that was that good. That just had a very level head on his shoulders.
Wow.
So,
what's the toughest gym you've ever coached in?
Wow. The toughest gym that I ever coached in probably was Lockwood. Where Dennis Cornish was, over in Southwest Missouri.
Yeah, okay.
Small gym, seats on one side with student section on the stage behind the benches.
It's got to be insane.
It was crazy. Especially during time. That's when I started doing timeouts out in half court area by the free throw line because you just,
couldn't even hear you.
And it was one of those gyms that you went to that it was just hard to play in.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like an opposing team going to Charleston.
That's right. In the Charleston rolling days, nobody wanted to go in there and play them. So.
Best high school atmosphere you've experienced? Maybe we've talked about that a little bit with Bloomfield.
Bloomfield Christmas tournament.
Yeah, agreed.
I played in it.
Yeah.
And I coached in it. Great atmosphere.
Yeah.
The SEMO Christmas tournament is a good tournament.
It doesn't have an atmosphere.
It does. It's not Bloomfield.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Bloomfield is just.
That finals day. I don't mean even. But the consolation games are crazy. Oh yeah.
But here's the thing. I've coached all over the state. Nothing like Southeast Missouri. You think about day 4 of Christmas tournaments. That place, especially if Jackson or Cape, Notre Dame, some of them are in it. You're going to have 6,000 or 7,000 people there. You're going to have whatever they can get, 4,000 maybe in Bloomfield. And then you're going to have people in Poplar Bluff. And you thinking about that in Southeast Missouri. And now with the TV, and I think the TV's great.
Yeah.
Does it hurt the crowds? Yeah. It's going to hurt the crowds on a Tuesday night when nobody wants to drive an hour to go watch their team and I can watch it.
But it also makes... It gets people to come to games too.
It does.
Yep.
It
totally
does. There's a positive and a negative.
Yep.
But you think about Southeast Missouri basketball. There's nothing like it. We are in an area that is just, they love their basketball.
Yep. Friday night, the SEMO conference finals. Whew. Especially if it's Sikeston and Cape or whoever, or even it's not even Sikeston. I've seen the Charleston New Madrid finals. You can't. You couldn't wedge another person in there with a shoehorn.
I know it, and here's the thing about Southeast Missouri, it's every year.
Oh, that's right.
It's every
year. Yeah, they're what they call the Boot Hill. They're the Boot Hill Conference.
Yeah.
There's a Tri-County Conference. All of them.
Yep.
Same thing. Just packed to the rafters.
Now you can go to Southwest Missouri and have great basketball, but it's not every year that. It doesn't matter who the teams are.
Yeah.
Next year here it could be Jackson and whoever.
Yep.
Jackson and Sikeston's going to pack that place out.
Yep.
Sikeston and Notre Dame's going to pack that place out. And that's the excitement of Southeast Missouri basketball.
I totally agree.
There's nothing like it.
I totally agree. We're spoiled when it comes to that. Mm-hmm. Now, I would say, and I think we've talked about this too, Southwest Missouri, that's football for them.
That's western side of the state.
Yeah, the western side.
Western side of the state's more of a Friday night football is.
That's right.
Really big.
Yeah, like
That's
Webb
right.
City, Lamar.
Well, you got a bunch of them. The old
All of them.
Cassville.
Nixon now.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is, and you can almost run that up the state because Kansas City predominantly is better. I mean, their bigger schools are better in football than I'm not saying their basketball's not, but you got more traditional powerhouses.
Yep.
You know,
Kearney and all those teams up
there. There's
that way.
not a Raytown South like there used to be when Bud Latham was there.
That's
There's not that up there with just this is a basketball powerhouse, and that one's gone. It's not the same.
Yeah.
But they do have football powerhouses on that side of the state.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I already know this one, man-to-man or zone.
For all my opponents this year, it's zone.
Exactly. He's changing up.
Don't listen to the other part.
He's going to the 2-1-2, the Little League defense, 2-1-2.
Yeah, the belly button. Point your belly button to the ball.
That's right. Press or get back?
You know, it depends on your team. You know, I can say my teams that were average to a little above average, I was a get back. You know, my philosophy has always been if you're going to be successful when it counts the most in districts and farther, the better half court teams usually win. Yeah. If you're pretty good and you want the tempo up, you got to press. Yeah. You know, but you know, my philosophy is the best half court teams offensively and defensively win most of the
interesting.
games.
I had a very similar conversation to that with Brian James, and we talked about how the main reason is because the possessions just become that much more valuable, and there's literally something to lose at that point. And not that you're up and down, but it's a little bit even more controlled. And then when you do that, then you're going to get caught in your half court sets.
Yeah. You know, we have a thing that we do at Leopold called kills. You get 3 stops in a row, it's a kill. Okay? We do a chart. If we get 6 kills a night, we're going to win 90% of those games. That's how, I mean, and we chart that. That's an analytic thing. You know, in college, if you get 6 kills a night, you're winning 95% of your games in college.
And you call that a stop?
Or you got to have 3 stops in a row. 3
in a row.
3 stops in a row is a kill.
Okay.
And if you can get 6 of those,
so a stop is just not letting them score, right?
Stop is just not letting them score.
Yeah.
It don't
turnover, whatever.
It doesn't matter if it's a rebound.
Even if they get, you know, a shot and get 2 offensive rebounds and take 3 shots on that possessions, if they don't score, it's a stop. And you got to get, you know, 3 in a row. And that's
you're shooting for 6 of those.
You need 6 of those a night.
So how many? Man, that's
18 possessions.
It's 18 possessions, and in a high school game, you're talking. 65 possessions.
That's why I was getting ready to ask you. Yeah, I didn't know what that number would be.
It depends on your team. Last year, my team would run anywhere from 55 to 70 possessions a night.
Okay.
Now, this year we're going to be more of an up-tempo team, shooting for 75 to 80 possessions.
Yeah.
That's probably where Sikeston probably.
I would say Sikeston's probably, with Greg's group, he's probably 75 and above every night.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because there's times they'll have 50 at halftime.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah, he'll have a bunch. But see, his kills, he gets so many kills based on his press, based on his half court good defenses.
Yep.
That's, you know, and that's what helps his.
That's interesting. That's a great stat. I'm gonna
chart that during the game when you're up there.
Because I do the YouTube games at home. Yeah. I'm just gonna make a tick and see what that number is. I'm gonna say this coaching guru named Jimmy Lincoln told me this stat.
But it is a big deal. We have a statistician that sits on the bench with us that does everything on an iPad.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a she. You know, she played basketball.
So she knows.
Yeah.
What an
and she'll step her. You know, she has the right to step in the huddle before we get in there and go, "Hey, we've only got 2 kills tonight."
Oh,
that's
a great stat.
But just saying that to the kids means the emphasis is on our defense still.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Don't give away all my secrets today.
You've given them all away.
That's an interesting stat.
No, I've never even considered it. But you're right. You're right. You can get 3 turnovers in a row, and that's a kill.
Yeah, or three stops.
I'm just thinking like from Sikeston, from a press, you get 3 steals and layups or whatever. That's a kill. So right there's one of them.
Yeah.
Dang.
And you know what? In the way Greg plays, let's take Greg against Jackson, who's going to be a really good team this year.
Oh, really good.
Fundamentally sound. Don't turn the ball over.
Yep.
I bet he will have 5 to 12 kills in that game.
Wow. I'll chart it. I want to chart it.
That'll be here this year too.
And you know what?
Yes.
And I'm sure Greg has. He might call it something different, but I'm sure because that is a big deal.
Yeah. Darn right it is.
Yeah, so
darn right it is. Best coaching advice you've ever received?
Don't lose the love of the game. Oh. Don't let it wear you out.
Wow.
Who
is that? Can you say who that? Do you mind saying who it is? Or
yeah.
No? Oh, okay. Okay.
I can tell you this. When you lose, if you're a coach, the funnest time, the best time I have is the summer. I love the summer. I love going to the gym because, and I've seen you at those shootouts.
Yeah.
I might be ranting and rolling at 10 o'clock in the morning and so mad because we're not guarding nobody and we want to shoot 43s instead of 23s and we won't go to the rim. It won't get downhill enough. But at 2 o'clock, you might be jumping up and down because you got 9 kills that game in a summer game. And I love going to shootouts and I love, the competition because, that's fun.
Yep.
We had a great summer. We had a good summer and a fun summer this year.
When you and I talked, gosh, this is probably 45 days ago or whenever it was, we were talking about, we talked more than that, but when we talked about coming on here, you guys are either going or just got back from Branson?
We go to Branson.
Yeah.
What we started last summer was our first summer. To take the kids somewhere different. We can go to the shootouts down here, and Chad has done a great job the last 2 years for me. Mm-hmm. I don't want to play the teams I play in the regular season. No. I see them in the regular season.
Right. No point in it.
This year, we played a tougher schedule, But we go to Branson, we take the team over. We have a house over there that we can sleep all the kids and they're on air mattresses and
They don't
and
care.
all that. No.
They don't care.
And so what we like this summer, we do a fundraiser at the school. They do, or at the church at the Knights of Columbus Hall. We do a breakfast and the Booster Club buys the food. We repay them. And then we do a breakfast after the 2 masses on Sunday. And the kids if you're going to Branson, you have to be there and work, and your parents work. And then all of our parents, the moms, they all bake pies and cakes and sell them extra. And it is a donation only.
Oh, yeah. That's when, actually, you probably make more money doing that than charging $10 a head or whatever.
They handed me
enough to pay for the trip.
$3,200 this year.
Jeez.
And it pays for everything for our kids. It pays for the camps. You got to pay for the shootouts.
Right.
But we pay for all the meals. We go to Silver Dollar City as a team.
Yep.
And we left on a Sunday and got home on a Friday night.
Oh, wow.
So we're there all week. And this is what's exciting about my team. This year we took 14 players over there. We take a JV and a varsity, and the house gets nasty.
Wow. Oh, yeah, a bunch of boys.
A bunch of boys, and we're doing laundry and all that kind of stuff. But here's what's exciting. When we go to Silver Dollar City, everything's paid for the kids except for their one meal at Silver Dollar City. All the other meals are taken care of. And this year we had a couple moms go over and bake a supper or cooked supper for us and all that. But we went to Silver Dollar City, and so we get to the gate, and they want to get there at 10 o'clock. And I said, all right, we're meeting at 1, and then we're going to leave at 5 or 6. So at 1:00, my team captain, I called him and I said, okay, where are we meeting? He goes, Coach, we're all eating at this restaurant together. And all 14 of my kids, from freshmen to seniors, did everything together.
Oh, wow.
And that's the team I got that's exciting.
Yeah.
They didn't go, okay, we don't want you freshmen with us, or, the seniors are going to just hang out.
Yeah.
They all did everything, went to rides together and
That's
everything.
awesome.
And that's when you know you're having success as a coach, when you got them like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
one coach you'd love to sit down and talk basketball with?
Wow. Pete Carell.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know we've talked about him tonight.
Yeah.
I think he would be very interesting to sit down and talk to. Tom Izzo. I'm not a big Izzo fan, but the way they guard, and they're good every year.
They guard every year.
Every year.
You do not want to play them in the tournament, regardless of what seed they are.
They're not always the most talented.
Right.
Athletically.
Right. Yep, that's right.
So Izzo would be a really good one to sit down with.
I like that.
There's a lot of good high school coaches. Bud Lathrop, I was fortunate enough to get to sit down with him. Lennis McFerrin, I learned a lot from Coach Mack.
Yeah.
Coach Spears, when I was young in my career, got me to where I could go sit down with Coach Mack and just sit down and just talk ball. Mm-hmm. And we all know his philosophy, and those are those old school coaches. Coach Meyer, that was at Notre Dame, that went to SLU. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate enough, early in my career to go up there and talk with him, and he had all those good Notre Dame teams, but left when the Russell boys and they won the state championships.
Right.
And Brad Winterborn won those state championships, but it was Meyer who got them where they're at.
Right. Right.
So, those are the guys that I've learned from.
Awesome. I forgot about him. I knew you talked about Whitmore, but I forgot about the guy before him. Most memorable win.
Wow. First district title.
Okay.
I was at Russellville when I won my first district title, and we had a district that year that was unbelievable. Going into the district after all the regular season games, Colcamp. Now, Pembroke Hill was ranked number 1 in the state. Colcamp was our number 1 seed in district, and they were 24-1 in regular season. Skyline was the number 2 seed in our district, and they were 23-2, and they were ranked 3rd in the state.
Good Lord.
I was the 3 seed, and I was 21-4, and I was the 5th ranked team in the state.
Wow.
Blair Oaks was the 4th seed. They were 21-4, but I had beat them twice. They were 6th in the state. Tipton that year was 20-6. They were ranked 9th in the state. And my first round opponent was Iberia with a 6'9" kid, and they were 23-2, but weren't ranked in the state. But they didn't play the schedule that the rest of us did, and they were 6th. And Eugene, and everybody's heard of Eugene, they were 18-7 in the regular season, and they were the 7th seed in our district that year. We had 4 ranked teams in the state.
Holy cow.
On the girls' side, the Skyline girls were ranked number 1 in the state. Colcamp girls were ranked number 7 in the state. So district championship game, they shut the gym down that night at 4:45 for a 6 o'clock girls district championship game. And we were playing the game afterwards. That's when you played both of them on the same night.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And we beat Skyline by 17 in the semis, and played Colcamp in the championship game and beat them, I think, 9 points.
Wow.
And they were one of those Pete Carell old school that if you scored 40, you scored 100.
Right.
And we beat them 44-36.
Oh my gosh.
And it was I still have the tape at home, and it's probably the most memorable win I've had.
That sounds like it. Yeah. Those always stick with you. One loss. Is there one that still bothers you?
Joe Lincoln's senior year, Tipton. We were the best team in the state and got beat by Concordia, St. Paul, Concordia.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we were one in the state all year long. And
what class was this?
2A.
Okay.
And we went to Peoria, Illinois to play in a shootout to start the year over Thanksgiving holiday and lost to a team out of Chicago. And then we won 27 straight games after that.
Jeez.
And we were ranked number 1 in the state. And my starting 2 guard in the last game of the regular season dislocated his kneecap. We put it back in place. He spot played during districts, but he never practiced.
Yep.
And then Joe was sick. And he was in the hospital the day of the sectional game, and we took, he was getting fluids, sick.
Like the flu kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Took him out, played, and then he went back in the hospital for 2 days, lost like 18 pounds, and he just didn't have the juice.
Yeah.
And we got beat by a team, and the sad part was the team that finished 3rd in the state that year was in our conference, Harrisburg.
Yeah.
And we had played them twice because in our conference we played everybody home and away.
Oh, okay.
And we had beat them 18 and 17, and they got beat in the semifinals by Valley Park that year.
Yep.
In double overtime by 1, and Valley Park won state by 15 after that game. And I beat Harrisburg. I mean, it wasn't even, they were 20-point games. And so that's probably the hardest because, it's just.
What if?
What
could have
ifs.
been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What ifs.
Wow.
Because the district championship game that year, Joe had 38.
Oh, hello.
He was playing and then got sick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because the sectional was probably 2 or 3 days later?
Yeah,
4
it
days
was a
later?
Wednesday after a Saturday night
yeah.
championship game.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm sure he tried. You're hoping he'd have the flu game like Michael did?
Yeah, he didn't.
No knock on you, Joe.
No.
I get it. Hey, Michael Jordan's Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
That's why he's Michael Jordan.
I'll put it this way. He had the flu. He didn't have the game. He had the flu.
Yeah, they were close. Both had the flu. He just didn't have the points.
Yeah.
All right, last one. If you could coach one more game in any gym from your career, where would it be?
I would love to play the Christmas championship game at Bloomfield. That would be.
But you guys are in the.
We're in the Christmas tournament, and unfortunately, we got offered to go to Bloomfield this year, and our administration elected to stay in Christmas tournament. And I understand it.
Yeah.
The difference in the tournaments is Bloomfield is an invitation. The SEMO Christmas tournament is owned by the 16 teams, and, so you can never get kicked out of it no matter what. And so the administration, felt like that we need to stay there. So
there's probably a financial incentive there as well, isn't it? A little bit of one.
You get, you get out of the Christmas tournament. Usually, you get $650 to $700 a game you play.
Yeah.
Which for us the last 2 years has been great as the AD. You're getting a check for $2,500. You've just paid 5 home games officials.
Right.
For the whole year.
No, I know that's a big deal.
It is.
I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get that part.
And you got to think about stuff like that.
Yep. Yep. I agree with you.
That's why the tournament's been set for
forever, and it'll never change.
Yeah.
And we made we sat down as I went to the school board meeting when the offer came, and we got the offer because one of the teams was dropping out of Bloomfield and they wanted to bring somebody different, which we played 10 of the other 15 opponents in regular season in the Christmas tournament. I do in the regular season. Where down here at Bloomfield I play 2.
Bloomfield and
Richland.
Okay, yeah.
And so for me, I said, listen, we're going to go see some people different, and the atmosphere is just. But I understood.
Well,
I got the call, I went to the superintendent and I said, "Hey, this is not a decision I'm going to make, or you can make. I think our school board needs to be involved with this decision because, they've been in the Christmas tournament since it started up there. Leopold's been in there forever."
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and who knows? I mean, like you choose to go to Bloomfield, and you said it's invitational. I mean, like they don't have to give that every year.
No, they don't.
Oh, geez.
And and here's the thing: everybody said, and I don't know if it's true, but if somebody dropped out, Sikeston would be the first offer. I don't know if Sikeston would go because it's the SEMO. After the first day, it's the SEMO conference.
That's right.
I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Every year, in my opinion, the top 5 schools are always going to be Jackson, Cape, Notre Dame, Charleston for sure. Mm-hmm. And then you're always going to have, Scott City has always built a good enough program that they're going to run in that 5 range every year.
Yeah. They had a good team last year.
And Scott City could be lower than 5 this year. Pull a Woodland.
Yep.
But those are going to be the definite, and what Sean has done at Woodland's probably in that realm of being in the top 6.
Yep.
And so, that's pretty well set. We're going to be pretty good for the next few years, and if you want to get on that right side,
That's right. That's right.
Well, I mean, like I've heard people say that one of the biggest things in their high school was being able to play in the championship game at the Christmas tournament. You know what I mean? Like just being in that. They were at Kelly. They're from Kelly. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like
and played at the Show Me Center.
Yeah,
that's a big deal. I mean,
it is.
You get it's a Division I floor, and you're playing them. I get it.
But it's some of the things has changed. Jackson was like this for a lot of years, and now with Coach Toma, they're going to be solid.
Yeah, I thought Darren did a good job there too. Darren was a good coach.
But Jackson was like this, and but I think now it's pretty well. These are the 4. That's and rightfully so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Corey does a good job with that team. He's a good coach. All right, last question, or I guess it's a question. 3 people we need to get on here.
From the area.
Yeah, sure.
We can do Zooms.
Yeah, we can. I can do. That's.
You need to get Corey Gibson on here.
I would love to have. I had Brad Korn on, and actually Briley Palmer at the same time last year. They were awesome.
Man, did you see where she's getting Texas? Isn't Texas coming to the?
Yeah, Texas women's team is coming to the Show Me Center this year. Yes,
that's pretty cool.
Yes.
She talked about that, I think, on the podcast.
Yeah, she. Is it the coach or there's a connection? Just like high school and college, there's a connection somehow that she got on here.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
David Heeb.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you, David and I have been friends since he started at Bell City, and people can, say whatever they want, and he's a recruiter and blah, 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 blah.
He's a good coach.
He can coach.
Yeah.
He can coach.
Yeah, he's a good coach. He's a girls coach now, right?
He's a girls coach now.
He's not the superintendent, right?
Yep.
Oh, he is a superintendent. Yeah. Okay, Delta.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He would be a real good one.
Okay. I know David. Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, somebody that I have a lot of respect for, Paul Hale.
Yep, I know Paul too. Yeah. Greg said he may be the best offensive mind he's seen.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm going to tell you something about Paul. Paul was the first to really put in that matchup stuff that really gave you problems. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was a system. Yep. And and then they ran it all the way through.
There's a lot. I've asked Brian and Greg about it, and he said they have a lot of. They called them rules or something.
They do have, yeah.
If somebody's here, you're here, and just the way the ball moves and rotate.
The whole key to Paul's, you got your guard, and this one's going to take guard 1, and this one, it's the back guy on the left-hand side of the basket, or if you're facing court, the right. That back guy's the rover, and he's the one that has to be the best athlete. That's where Sean Wright. It was the other kid with Brett Hale. Sean Wright was about a 6'4". He played that spot. That's the key. If you've got a rover that can guard whatever in any alignment you get into, because he's the one that's, everybody else is pretty well matched. The post player is going to guard the post. Those guys are going to spot and spot and spot. This rover has to be the one that knows what to do, and it's complicated.
Yeah, that's why I heard it's super complicated.
And if you run any structure out of it, they got it.
Yep.
You got to just, when I had my success, freelance, because then it's something different every time.
Yeah. So they can't almost plan for it.
Well, and Chad's running some resemblance of that right now.
Chad runs a lot of good stuff.
But Chad runs it. He has changed it from a 2-3 look,
yes,
to a 3-2 look, or a 1-2-2 look.
Yes.
But it's still got a lot of the same principles.
Yep. I mentioned that a couple of times on YouTube. I'm like, this looks like a 3-2. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. That looks like a 1-3-1. But it's not.
He's matching out of it.
Yeah. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Well, did we cover anything? Did we
Everything. Hey, it was great. I loved it. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming.
No, I think this was great. I could do this whenever you wanted to. So, it was fun. No, it's fun just to talk it and talk people that love it. And,
Yeah, we enjoy it. We're, it's football season, but that means you're 1 week closer to basketball.
Amen. No, we got junior high starting next week. So
really,
well, we start practice on the 31st because we have our season in the fall.
It's a small. Well, we start right after football. I mean,
Sikeston will start junior high. We're later than a lot of the other schools.
Mid-October.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. But
October the 27th, we're done.
See, we're just kind of getting cranked up then.
Which is good. Yeah. I like it because I can coach
and you go one right into the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Jimmy, I appreciate your time. Thanks for driving down. Thanks for talking about your history, your coaching career. Like I said, I've known you forever. I didn't realize you almost. Do you know where you are? You gonna get 500 before you knock it out, before you call it quits? Awesome.
Maybe.
Awesome. Okay.
I just, if I hadn't set out all them years.
That's right.
I need to call Corey and say, Corey, can I have some of them wins?
Exactly. At 22, give me a couple of them.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. Obviously, I texted you after you guys won last year, and I watched the sectional game, and didn't go your way, but good luck, obviously, this year.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. I'll be a big fan. I can be a big Leopold fan. We don't play you guys.
That's right.
I'm a huge Leopold fan.
You just don't have no blue in your house.
I don't have. There's a little bit of blue.
But I wore black for you.
You did. That's what I said. I was like, Micah, he wore some Bulldog swag when he came in.
I think we got a pullover almost like that.
That's right. We do. Well, Jimmy, we appreciate it, and we end all of them here we end our podcast with Go Dogs.
That's fine. I was a dog.
I know you are, and you're still a dog. What's a dog? Always a dog.
That's right.
But we appreciate your time again. Thanks for coming down.
I'm Micah Harris.
I'm Matt Tanner. Thanks for listening to the Doghouse this week.
Go Dogs.